Chapter 492. You've really disappointed me. Xia Ping looked at Xia Hao condescendingly. Just now you were clamoring to show me that there's always someone better than you. Now you're doing this to me. The battle hasn't even ended, and you're admitting defeat. Hearing these words, Xia Hao's face turned red and then purple. He thought back to what he had just said. He had bragged about how he had cultivated for many years and had perfected his swordsmanship. He had also said that it was impossible for this new student to defeat him. He wanted him to know the difference between them. But now, he had been forced into a desperate situation after only a few moves. He had even been forced to admit defeat. He could only watch helplessly as he was forced to surrender in front of this kid. When he thought about what had happened, he was so ashamed that he wanted to bury his head in the ground. He didn't want to raise his head for the rest of his life. This was too embarrassing. You were bragging about how powerful your swordsmanship was, saying that you were a martial arts elite, and that your swordsmanship had perfected. Why are you so thick-skinned? Is this natural? Xia Ping asked curiously. Fuck you. Xia Ping, I'll never forgive you. Xia Hao finally couldn't take it anymore. This bastard's mouth was too despicable. It was even more destructive than his martial arts. Every word was harsh, and he was utterly defeated. What did he mean by being thick-skinned was natural? Was he, Xia Hao, a shameless person? After receiving such provocations in succession, the blood in his body churned, and his lungs almost exploded from anger. He had been forcefully suppressing the injuries in his body, but now he could no longer control himself. He coughed up a large mouthful of blood on the spot, staining the ground red. With a smack, his eyelids rolled and he fell to the ground. He foamed at the mouth and fainted. Fainted from anger? Xia Ping was speechless and helpless. This was the first time he had seen someone faint from anger. This kid's mental fortitude was too weak. He couldn't take any provocation. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this time, 2 or 3 medical staff rushed in from outside the combat room. They seemed to know what had happened. Without saying a word, they put Xia Hao on a stretcher and carried him out, planning to go to the hospital for emergency treatment. At this time, on the first floor of the training tower, many elite students stopped training and watched the duel on the big screen. They were all very interested in this duel and discussed it with each other, expressing their opinions. Everyone stopped discussing. This Xia Ping will definitely lose. That's right. Although he has cultivated a powerful defensive cultivation technique, it is only a powerful defensive technique. As the saying goes, if you defend for too long, you will definitely lose. Xia Hao is also proficient in king-level sword skills, so his attack power is ridiculously strong. Sooner or later, he will pierce through that kid's turtle shell and teach him a lesson. That kid is really stupid. Losing 100 energy stones isn't enough, yet he actually stupidly wants to lose 1,000. Stupidity is incurable, but I like freshmen like this. Otherwise, how can we make money? A few of Xia Hao's companions were very pleased with themselves. They chatted casually, all of them believing that Xia Hao would definitely win this duel. That was because in the history of Yanhuang University, there were examples of freshmen defeating seniors, but they were extremely rare. They were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns, and could be counted on one hand. Therefore, they believed that Xia Ping had no chance of winning. In fact, it was not just them. Even the others had the same thoughts. At this moment, a mechanical voice rang out in the hall on the first floor. Xia Ping wins. What? Hearing this voice, the hall on the first floor, which was originally in a state of noise, suddenly fell silent. No one spoke. They were all stunned by this sudden news, and they were completely unprepared. Just a moment ago, it was said that Xia Hao had the upper hand, but in the blink of an eye, Xia Hao had lost and Xia Ping had won. Impossible! An elite student could not accept this fact, and he could not help but scream, why? Why did this bullshit Xia Ping win? That kid is just a freshman. How could he defeat Xia Hao? Indeed, this is too exaggerated. What kind of palm technique is this? He actually used Xia Hao as a ball to hit. Terrible, too terrible. I didn't expect the gap between the two to be so big. Xia Hao did not even have the strength to fight back. I can't imagine how tyrannical this Xia Ping is. Many elite students were shocked. They also saw the scene of Xia Hao being casually beaten by Xia Ping. It was as miserable as a dead dog, and he had no strength to fight back. In the end, he actually forced Xia Hao to surrender and admit defeat. One had to know that Xia Hao was an elite student, and he could be said to be favored by the heavens. Such a person's pride was unimaginably high. If not for the fact that he had no other choice, he would not have made such a humiliating decision. Clapless palm, this is clapless palm. However, Ding Zhaoyang immediately recognized that this was a king martial technique that Xia Ping had obtained, clapless palm. Moreover, he had personally taught it to Xia Ping. But what was going on now? He had clearly just taught it to Xia Ping, but in such a short time he actually learned it? Moreover, he had mastered it. The person who was the most shocked at the scene was none other than him. Previously, he was still saying that this martial technique was extremely difficult to cultivate, and so far, other than the founder, there was no one who had successfully cultivated it. But what was going on now? He had learned it in the blink of an eye. Zhaoyang felt that his brain had stopped thinking, and he could not help but groan in his heart. What a monster! This was definitely a peerless monster. He had learned a king martial technique in an instant. This kind of thing was too exaggerated, and who knew how many people would be shocked if word of it got out. At this time, Xia Hao fell to the ground, vomiting blood and unconscious. He was carried away by the medical staff for emergency treatment, and Xia Ping also came down from the second floor. Many elite students looked over, and their expressions were extremely complicated. Since the establishment of Yanhuang University's elite area, there had been countless duels between freshmen and seniors, but the number of times that freshmen had won could be counted on one hand. Now there was another one. Xia Ping, congratulations on winning. This time you are rich. Ding Zhaoyang went forward to congratulate him. I won, but it's not satisfying. Xia Ping said carelessly. Speaking of which, are the seniors of the elite area only at this level? They are trash that can be killed with one slap, and they actually dared to challenge me. Isn't this giving me money? To be honest, I am very disappointed. What? Hearing this, all the elite students present widened their eyes in anger. Xia Ping's words were not only targeted at Xia Hao, but they were clearly mocking all of them. Xia Ping, don't think that you can be so arrogant just because you defeated Xia Hao. You're just lucky. Who here is not your senior? You better keep a low profile. Chapter 493. You're not convinced? Xia Ping recognized that the person who jumped the most happily was Xia Hao's companion. He was probably exasperated because he had defeated Xia Hao and humiliated him in public. Just as well. I wasn't satisfied just now. Why don't we have a bet as well? He looked indifferently at the elite student with a crew cut and gave his suggestion. What? All the elite students present were shocked when they heard this. This fellow wasn't satisfied yet. He still wanted to find someone to duel. The elite student with a crew cut had an extremely ugly expression. He was shocked by Xia Ping's words. He had seen the battle between Xia Ping and Xia Hao. Even Xia Hao had been humiliated by Xia Ping in public and beaten like a dead dog. Even if he went up, he would probably end up in the same situation. He had no chance of winning at all. Weren't all of you very arrogant just now? Are you scared now? Xia Ping said in disdain. I wonder which one of you was so rude and arrogant just now. All of you jumped out and clamored to teach me a lesson. I thought all of you were amazing, but I didn't expect all of you to be cowards. You act like a coward when you meet a strong opponent and trample on the weak. To be honest, all of you are just a bunch of incompetent people who bully the weak and fear the strong. You want to advance to the king realm? You're simply dreaming. These words were extremely offensive. It was like a slap to their faces. In front of so many people, their faces were slapped until they were swollen. They recalled how they had teamed up and constantly mocked Xia Ping. They said that if he didn't agree to the duel, he was a coward who didn't live up to his name. These words were extremely vicious and piercing. But now the tables had turned. It was Xia Ping's turn to mock them. All of them were so angry that their faces turned red. What did you say? An elite student's face turned red as he glared at Xia Ping. Not only are you weak, but you're also deaf? Xia Ping said lazily. I can tell you frankly that you are all cowards. Go home and farm. Don't cultivate here. Live a peaceful life in the future. Don't think about useless things all day. Your current strength is your limit. You have to face reality. Otherwise, when the war between the human race and the demon race breaks out, all of you will be cannon fodder. It doesn't matter if you harm yourselves, but if you harm the human race, all of you will be nailed to the pillar of shame and criticized by countless people. Live a peaceful life. The elite students present were so angry that their faces turned green. They had never heard such words before. One had to know that they were elite students, and any one of them would immediately rise to a high position if they went out. If they weren't generals, they would be the higher-ups of a faction. Who could look down on them? But in this fellow's words, they could only go back to plowing the fields and not think about all these nonsense all day long. He even asked them to recognize reality. He was looking down on them. Xiaping, don't go too far. Several elite students were extremely aggrieved. There was a ball of fire in their hearts. This was the first time they had been slapped in the face by a freshman in public. It made them doubt their lives. When had they ever been so aggrieved and slapped in the face by a little freshman? Dean Zhaoyang's face also twitched. He also felt pain for these elite students. It was clear that he was slapping them to death. He didn't give them any face at all. So what if I go too far? If you have the guts, come and bite me. Xiaping squinted at them and said arrogantly, but you don't look like you have the guts. After all, your abilities are just like that. Forget it, I'm too lazy to bully you cowards. If you don't agree, then forget it. I'm going back to sleep. After saying that, he waved his hand and wanted to leave. Stop! An elite student shouted angrily and stepped forward to stop Xiaping from leaving. If Xiaping was allowed to leave now, then it would be unimaginable what kind of rumors would spread later. At that time, the entire school would probably think that these elite students only knew how to bully the weak and fear the strong. They didn't even dare to accept the challenge of a freshman and were all cowards. Although they didn't admit that they were such people, the public's words could melt gold. After being messed around by this guy, what reputation would they have left? They probably wouldn't be able to raise their heads outside. Since you want to fight, then let's fight. That elite student gritted his teeth and said, I don't believe that a little freshman like you really has 3 heads and 6 arms. He was determined. He definitely couldn't let Xiaping leave like this. Otherwise, what would others think of him? Yes, don't you want to fight? We'll fulfill your wish. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Let me join in too. I have to let this kid know what it means to be a senior. Me too. Immediately, 7 or 8 elite students stood up and gritted their teeth. Most of them were Xie Hao's accomplices. All of them couldn't stand Xiaping's attitude and wanted to stand up to teach him a lesson. Really? Don't cry for your parents when you lose. I'm not forcing you, Xiaping said with a smile. These idiots had really taken the bait. When it came to provocation, who could compare to him? He just casually said a few words and these people would explode in anger. Even a Buddha would be enraged to some extent. Who would cry for their parents? A group of elite students was going crazy. They simply wanted to gang up on him and tear this bastard Xiaping's mouth apart. They had never seen such a bastard. He never said a good word. A dog's mouth couldn't spit out ivory. Cut the crap. Don't you want to bet on a battle? Just follow us. The rules are exactly the same as before. An elite student didn't want to say anything to Xiaping at all. Otherwise, if they continued to talk, they would probably be sent to the hospital from anger before the battle even started. Soon they came to the combat room one by one and applied for a duel again. This time, Xiaping didn't continue to play with these elite students. He used his full strength right from the start, and used a king-level peerless martial technique, clapless palm. He was like a martial Dao master. His palm technique was like a heavenly steed soaring through the sky. The enemy couldn't catch the trajectory of his palm technique at all. It even contained the strength of extreme yang, enough to split gold and crack rocks. It was invincible. With a bang, an elite student was sent flying from head to toe with just one palm. The elite student didn't even get to use a move, and was slapped unconscious on the spot. The other elite students weren't convinced. They used all their skills and tried to kill Xiaping. However, all of them were useless. With just one palm, Xiaping shattered their protective qigong and sent them flying like a rubber ball. God knew how many bones in their bodies were broken, and they all screamed in pain. In just 3 minutes, 7 or 8 elite students were all defeated. One by one, they were sent to the hospital. They also lost 1,000 energy stones. It was a heavy loss. Chapter 494. Pick your face. The group of elite students were all baring their teeth. After seeing this guy's battle just now, who would still dare to foolishly challenge him? Wouldn't that be purely giving this guy money? Who would be so stupid? Although they were also very confident in their own battle prowess, they were only on par with Xia Hao. At most they were a little stronger than Xia Hao, but there was a limit. But this guy was a little too abnormal. He had actually beaten Xia Hao, completely crushing him. Seeing this situation, no matter how confident they were, they didn't dare to say that they could win. Senior, seeing that you are tall and strong, your martial arts must be incomparably powerful. Come into the combat room and give me some pointers. Xia Ping went forward and greeted an elite student who was 2 meters tall and had muscles that were as strong as rocks. He was very enthusiastic. Pointers, your sister. The corner of the muscular guy's mouth twitched. This bastard could even beat up Xia Hao, beating him to the point that he couldn't even retaliate. Consecutively, 7 or 8 elite students were killed by you. This kind of martial arts could already be considered master level. Why would he need pointers? Clearly, this guy wanted to cheat him of his energy stones. He could see through this guy's sinister intentions with a single glance. I'm sorry, junior brother. I suddenly feel a little pain in my stomach. I don't have enough strength. I'll give you pointers next time. The muscular guy smiled hypocritically. He held his stomach and screamed. He turned around and ran very quickly, afraid that he would be caught by Xia Ping. If that happened, he would be as miserable as Xia Hao. This bald senior. I see that your spear arts have almost reached the transformation realm. Every movement you make has the demeanor of a king. Why don't we enter the combat room and have a life and death battle? Together, we can comprehend the martial arts pinnacle. Wouldn't that be great? Xia Ping came in front of a bald elite student, wanting to invite him to a life and death battle. Fight my ass. The bald elite student bared his teeth. A life and death battle referred to a situation where the difference in strength between the two parties was not too big. In the end, it was difficult to win. Only when there was hope of winning could it be called a life and death battle. If the difference was too big, then it was purely looking for a beating, being beaten up and killed. This guy thought that by flattering him a little, he would be coaxed into agreeing to enter the combat room, and then be cheated of a large sum of energy stones by this bastard. This was simply a dream. Did he really think he was stupid? Moreover, if he was beaten into a pig's head, how could he still have the demeanor of a king? Junior, you're too polite. I've been training for a long time today, so I don't have enough stamina. I'll probably need to rest for 3 days and 3 nights before I can catch my breath. I'm afraid I'll have to let you down this time. The bald elite student found an excuse to refuse. Xia Ping blinked his eyes. Not enough physical strength? You've only been cultivating for such a short period of time, and you haven't even broken a sweat, yet you've already exhausted your physical strength to such an extent. You really can't judge a book by its cover. But senior, according to my observations, I'm afraid that your condition is due to kidney deficiency. He looked at her with pity. Empty my ass. The bald elite student's face was as black as charcoal, and he grimaced in pain. He had the urge to rush up and give this scoundrel a good beating. This scoundrel was too maddening. The surrounding elite students had strange expressions on their faces as they looked at the bald elite student with pity. Forget it. Since senior's kidneys are weak and you have a congenital illness, let's fight next time. Xia Ping patted the bald elite student's shoulder, showing an expression that said he wouldn't bully a disabled person. What the fuck? Who has a congenital illness? Don't spout nonsense here. The bald elite student was half dead with anger. How could he have imagined that this kid would actually slander him like this? If such rumors were to spread, would he still be able to find a girlfriend? However, Xia Ping didn't care about the bald elite student who was going crazy. He continued to look for his next target. He walked into the crowd and greeted the many elite students very enthusiastically. His attitude was very humble, hoping to spar with the various seniors and give him some pointers on his martial arts, so that he could learn some things and fill in the gaps. However, when those elite students saw Xia Ping's arrival, their faces all turned green. It was as if they had encountered a god of plague. One by one they all ran away, looking for all kinds of excuses to avoid the battle. Some people said that the gas in their houses hadn't been turned off yet, so they had to go back and turn it off. Some people said that they hadn't fed the cat at home and were afraid that it would starve, so they had to leave as well. There were also people who said that they had found something fishy about their girlfriends today, and were going to catch them in the act. They didn't have time to waste here. All of them had urgent matters to attend to, and left the training tower one after another. All of a sudden, the entire training tower's first-floor hall became almost empty, as if it had been robbed. At the side, Dean Zhaoyang was speechless. This was the first time he had seen such an elite student. He had clearly just become an elite student, so he should have been keeping a low profile here. But now he was simply too savage, scaring a group of seniors half to death and avoiding the battle. If this news were to spread, it was unknown how many people would be scared to death. Sai, today's luck is really bad. There are actually so many seniors who have problems at home. It's either a fire or the gas isn't turned off, or there's something wrong with their bodies. It seems like I can only fight another day. Xiaoping looked up at the sky and sighed. Alright, don't be cocky here. Dean Zhaoyang said in a bad mood. The elite students here have all been chased away by you. You better go back to your residence and rest. It was clearly him who had scared away that group of elite students, yet he was still pretending to be innocent here. This kind of skin was too thick. Perhaps even a nuclear bomb might not be able to penetrate it. He looked at Xiaoping. But I haven't received my energy stones yet. Xiaoping expressed that he had not received the energy stones for the bet. Zhaoyang said, You have already signed a bet with those elite students. They will definitely not go back on their words. They will probably send the energy stones to your residence in a few days. Don't worry. After all, the energy stones were physical objects. They could not be transferred immediately. It would take some time to transport them. He paused for a moment before continuing, however, based on your strength, if you can advance to an advanced martial master, you might be able to stand out in the Battle of Geniuses and obtain a spot to enter the Sky Beast battlefield. Your future will be limitless. Battle of Geniuses? Sky Beast battlefield. Xiaoping blinked his eyes and looked at Zhaoyang. He did not understand what these terms meant, but he had heard of the term Sky Beast battlefield from Scorpion Shirsan. However, he was not too sure what it was exactly. The so-called Battle of Geniuses is a competition that only martial masters below the age of 30 can participate in. Zhaoyang said in a deep voice, Through this competition, 1,000 peerless geniuses will be selected and sent to the Sky Beast battlefield to compete with the geniuses of the monster race for countless treasures. What kind of place is the Sky Beast battlefield? Why go there and compete with the geniuses of the monster race? Chapter 495. The so-called Heavenly Demon Battlefield is actually a dimensional space. Zhaoyang said solemnly, This is a battlefield left behind from ancient times. Demon sages once fought there, demon kings shed blood, and countless great demons perished in this dimensional space. Therefore, this space became the Heavenly Demon Graveyard. Some of the dead demon sages left behind terrifying resentment, which gave birth to vengeful spirits. Some of their blood was corroded by endless resentment and turned into demons. This graveyard is filled with danger. But because this place was originally a battlefield, countless demon sages perished here. Their artifacts also fell on this land. There are countless treasures here. Even if we enter this battlefield, we might obtain the demon sage's inheritance and obtain endless benefits. His eyes revealed a fiery look. What? Xiaoping's eyes widened. The demon sage's inheritance? The problem is that we are humans and they are demons. Even if we obtain the demon sage's inheritance, we might not benefit much. No. Zhaoyang shook his head. You still don't understand. After reaching the king realm, there is no essential difference between humans and demons. They are both high-level life forms. The only difference is their appearance. Therefore, the demon sage's inheritance is also extremely beneficial to humans. It is not inferior to the demons. In fact, many of the current king-level cultivation techniques of humans are obtained from the demons. It's just that they have been modified by the kings to become more suitable for human cultivation. He revealed some great secrets about the human race. If this heavenly demon battlefield is so important, Why would the demons let us humans enter? Xia Ping asked. Zhao Yang sneered. Of course they won't let us in. It's just that after a few wars they finally felt the pain and understood what compromise is, so they allowed us humans to enter the heavenly demon battlefield. And the heavenly demon battlefield that opens once every 3 years has slowly become a battlefield where humans and demons compete. Every time, countless geniuses perish. This is a battlefield of slaughter. His tone contained a hint of killing intent. When does the genius battle begin? Xia Ping was very interested in this. If he could enter the heavenly demon battlefield, he would definitely be able to obtain a large number of treasures. This way, he would be more confident in advancing to the king realm. It starts in 3 months. The head of teaching, Zhao Yang, said, however, if you want to stand out in the genius competition, you are still far from it with your current strength. You have to at least become a superior grade martial master before you have a chance to qualify. After all, the participants of this genius contest are all geniuses. Furthermore, they have cultivated for many more years than you. Most of them are experts at the peak of the martial mentor realm. It's too difficult for you to win against these geniuses. After a pause, he continued, the reason why I'm telling you all this in advance is not to discourage you. Instead, I'm telling you about the future 3 years from now. Cultivate hard during these 3 years and advance to peak martial master. Then, you will be qualified to represent humanity and enter the heavenly fiend battlefield to obtain a large number of treasures. He believed that Xia Ping would need at least 3 years to be able to compete with those monsters. He was not looking down on Xia Ping. It was just that there were too many monsters in this world. Each of them had extraordinary talent, and they had cultivated for a much longer time than Xia Ping. It was too difficult to defeat those monsters now. He said that he would be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with those monstrous geniuses in 3 years. This was already quite a high opinion of Xia Ping. 3 months. Xia Ping clenched his fists. He did not take Zhao Yang's words seriously. He did not have the time to wait for 3 years. Right now, he wanted to enter the heavenly fiend battlefield. However, he might be able to improve his qigong to a higher realm in 3 months. In this way, he might be able to qualify for the heavenly fiend battlefield. After that, Xia Ping said goodbye to Zhao Yang. Following the navigation of the smart map, he soon arrived at his villa dormitory in the elite area. Nice house. Xia Ping arrived at his villa in the elite area. He looked around. This villa was 3 times larger than his villa in the ordinary area. It had a garden, a swimming pool, a practice room, an entertainment hall, and so on. There was even an airport for spaceships. If there was a private spaceship, it could land here at any time. There was no need to dock in the airport at all. The security facilities were also very complete. It was estimated that even a guru would not be able to break into this place. What a rich spiritual qi. Xia Ping took a deep breath. He felt that this villa seemed to be in the middle of a source of spiritual qi. The surrounding spiritual qi of heaven and earth gathered in this place, turning it into a holy place for cultivation. Moreover, it was not only this villa. The surrounding villas seemed to be the same. After being arranged by an expert, each residence was a source of spiritual qi. It was a holy place for cultivation. If one cultivated in this place, the cultivation efficiency would be at least 3 or 4 times higher than in other places. As expected of the treatment of elite students, I don't know how many people are envious of such a cultivation environment. Xia Ping praised and felt very satisfied. He sat on the sofa in the living room and lay down comfortably. This villa was also very well furnished. There was a leather sofa, a smart LCD TV, automatic cooking utensils, an air purifier, a smart cleaning robot, and other smart furniture. By the way, what happened today has to be posted on the forum. Xia Ping's eyes flashed. Those elite students tried to threaten and blackmail him just now. He would not forget so quickly. The so-called trampling on people was to trample on them until they had no chance to turn around. When the enemy saw you, they would tremble with fear. Only then would they let it go. This was his style of doing things. Moreover, this was also an opportunity to gain a lot of hatred. He would not let it go. So on the school forum there was also an additional post. The title was Heartless. A group of elite senior students actually did such a thing to Xia Ping. This sensational title suddenly attracted the attention of the people in the school. After all, Xiaoping was an influential figure in Yanhuang University. His every move was paid attention to by many people. It could be said that he was already a celebrity. It was estimated that even if he posted a picture of eating, there would be tens of thousands of people like it. Holy shit, what the hell happened? Why are they heartless? Did that group of elite senior students do something to Xiaoping? A group of people was immediately attracted. Although they did not see the content of the post, they had already begun to think about it. Someone provided information. I heard that Xiaoping was promoted to an elite student today and has entered the elite area. That's right. Chapter 496. It can't be. Xiaoping is an influential figure and a genius that the higher-ups pay attention to. How could those elite students dare to do such a thing? A group of people was in disbelief. That person sneered. Xiaoping is nothing. He can only be arrogant in the ordinary area. It's different in the elite area. Anyone who can become an elite student is a genius among geniuses. Not to mention their aptitude, they are definitely above everyone else. Moreover, almost all of them have a backer. How could these people be afraid of this so-called Xiaoping? A disdainful look appeared on his face. Indeed, these words are very reasonable. That kid thinks that he can dominate the ordinary area. But when he comes to the elite area, this won't work. The students who stay in the elite area are not good people. Some of them have cultivated for several years and have already advanced to the peak of martial master. How can a freshman like Xiaoping compare to them? It's fine if he is honest, but if he is dishonest and wants to be domineering and cause trouble everywhere, Xiaoping will definitely suffer. I reckon that this time, he will really be taught a lesson by the senior students of the elite area. And it's the kind that is unbearable to look at. Many students thought that Xiaoping would definitely be defeated. Some people even mocked and gloated. They really wanted to see Xiaoping be unlucky and taught a lesson. God has eyes. A student looked up to the sky and sighed. That scourge Xiaoping finally has someone who can deal with him. This proves that good and evil will eventually be repaid. It's not that there is no retribution, it's just that the time has not yet come. Many students revealed a look of joy in their eyes. If Xiaoping was beaten up or even humiliated by the senior students of the elite area, then it would really be gratifying. This was a righteous act. It was to eliminate evil for the people. Retribution, my ass. These are all headlines. Don't be fooled. A student who clicked on the post immediately cursed. He wasn't taught a lesson by the senior students of the elite area at all. Instead, he taught them a lesson and even made a windfall. What? Many of the students were shocked. They clicked on the post one after another, and immediately saw the content of the post. Immediately, their expressions changed and they were extremely sullen. It was as if Xiaoping had forcefully stuffed a toad into their mouths. Impossible. A student who saw the content of the post exclaimed, "This kid went into the elite area and was provoked by some elite students. Not only did he not lose, but he even won." There were even elite students who were beaten up so miserably that they were beyond recognition. He simply could not believe such a thing. One must know that although Xiaoping was very powerful, he was only a new student. Furthermore, he was a rookie who had just stepped into the martial master realm. What kind of people were those students in the elite zone? Monsters. They were all monsters. Moreover, they had been cultivating there for several years, so their combat power was many times stronger than ordinary students. Even if they were at the same level of cultivation, an elite student would be able to defeat 10 of them. But now, all of them had actually lost and they had even been beaten black and blue by Xiaoping. They had lost a large sum of money. This didn't make any sense at all. It was too exaggerated. However, this post did not only consist of words. There were also many pictures attached, and all of them were of the elite students being beaten up by Xiaoping. There were also pictures of them being carried out of the combat rooms by the medical staff. The pictures were extremely clear. Obviously, these were all secretly taken by Xiaoping with his smartwatch. There's no justice in this world. It's fine that he was tyrannical in the ordinary area, but he can actually be so cocky after entering the elite zone. Is there no one who can deal with this scourge? Does God still have eyes? The person just now was crying bitterly. He was so angry that he fell to the ground and vomited 3 liters of blood. His qi and blood reversed and his qigong churned. He was so angry that he almost went berserk. He was very indignant. Miserable, those elite students are really miserable. Especially that Xia Hao. Look at him. He must have had plastic surgery by Xia Ping. Can his father still recognize him? He probably won't be able to. He was beaten up like this. If it were me, I would jump off a building and commit suicide. Are you kidding me? These are elite students. How can they be so weak? They were beaten up like a ball by Xia Ping. They have cultivated for so many years, but they have cultivated to the point of being dogs. Fake goods. These elite students are definitely fake elites. They relied on money from their families and used their connections to get in. Indeed, I'm not bragging. I can beat 10 of these fake goods. That's impossible. It's not that easy to be promoted to the elite students of Yanhuang University. I heard that they have to take an examination. Nothing is impossible. This is a society of human relations. Although there are many elites in Yanhuang University, it doesn't mean that there are no fake goods. Maybe Xia Ping has already met a few of them. That explains everything. Otherwise, why would those elite students lose so miserably? Many students couldn't believe that Xia Ping was actually so fierce. It was fine that he was tyrannical in the normal area, but he was actually like a crab in the elite area. No one dared to provoke him. Some students were extremely sullen. Was there really no one who could deal with Xia Ping? This news soon shook the entire school and was known by countless students. After all, a person who had just been promoted to elite student actually beat up a group of elite senior students and sent them to the hospital. No matter where this was, it would be big news. In just a few hours, this matter had spread to everyone. Many people in every corner of the school were discussing this matter. This was hot news. It could be said that at this time, all the students of Yanhuang University knew that Xia Ping had just entered the elite area and had already beaten up Xia Hao and the other elite students to the hospital. This also made Xia Ping more and more ferocious, and Xia Hao and the others had become the stepping stones for Xia Ping's fame. At this time in the elite area hospital, Xia Hao and the others were receiving treatment. They had just finished soaking in the nutrient solution and were lying on the hospital bed to rest. Their bodies were wrapped in white bandages like mummies. They grimaced in pain at the slightest movement. Although technology was now advanced and this was not considered too serious an injury, it would still take at least 3 days to completely treat it. Therefore, they could only endure the pain for a few days. Damn it, that damned freshman actually dared to beat me up so badly. I must take revenge. Otherwise, I won't be able to take this lying down. Xia Hao clenched his teeth. Yes, we must take revenge. We lost 1,000 energy stones. We can't just let it go like this. No matter how much he ate, that kid must spit it out and pay back double. A few of Xia Hao's companions clenched their fists. They had also been beaten up badly by Xia Ping. All of them hated him and wanted revenge. What's going on? Why is it so noisy outside? Originally, Xia Hao wanted to say something, but suddenly there was a series of footsteps coming from outside the ward. It seemed like a large group of people was walking toward the ward. Chapter 497. What's wrong? Xia Hao and the rest were shocked. They didn't expect the ward door to be opened. After the door was opened, many people walked in from the outside. There were at least 100 of them. They filled the room in an instant, and there was even a queue in the corridor. All of a sudden they were dumbfounded because they had never been so popular before. They were just a little injured, and there were so many people coming to visit them. Their popularity was too high. Look, Xia Hao and the rest are really here. Looks like the post on the forum is true. Xia Hao and the rest were really badly beaten up. Tsk, look at their arms and legs. They're seriously injured. I'm amazed. It will take at least 3 days for them to be able to move freely and a month to fully recover. A group of people said. They were holding high-end cameras in their hands and were taking pictures of Xia Hao and the rest. They were very skilled. The lights flashed. Hearing this, Xia Hao and the rest were stunned. Who were these people? What did they mean by broken arms and legs? How could they be so sarcastic? What did they mean by broken arms and legs? How could they be so sarcastic? Was it really appropriate to speak to a seriously injured person like that? Could it be that these people weren't here to visit them but to watch the show? Xiahao reacted quickly and shouted, "Who the hell are you people? What are you doing here? Don't you know that this is an important place in the hospital? Unauthorized people are not allowed in?" However, the group of people ignored Xiaohao's words and surrounded him. "I'm a reporter from Yinhuang University's Student Times. What are your thoughts on this injury?" A student immediately came up and took a black microphone and placed it near Xiaohao's mouth. "I heard that you are the first batch of seniors to be defeated by a freshman in the past 10 years. This has shaken the entire university. How do you feel about this result? You were defeated by a freshman so easily. Now, many students are suspecting that you are fake students who relied on your connections to become elite students. How do you respond to this suspicion? Did you really rely on your connections to get in? Did you have insider deals with the higher-ups of the university?" "Mr. Xia, please answer my question. You were full of confidence when you challenged the freshman Xiaping, but now you were defeated and badly injured. How did you feel about this? Can you tell us in detail?" Many of our viewers are very interested in this question. A group of student reporters came forward and asked Xiahao and the others questions. These questions were like a machine gun firing. Regarding this sensational news, these reporters rushed forward in a frenzy, trying to get first-hand exclusive insider information. But after hearing those words, Xiaohao's face turned green. He was so angry that smoke was coming out of his nose. What kind of stupid question was this? They were defeated by a freshman and sent to the hospital. They even lost a large sum of money. They were already extremely depressed. But these bastards still asked them how they felt in their hearts? What was the mental journey like? It was like a man who had been cuckolded and was still being asked how he felt. When he found out that he had been cuckolded, what kind of psychological experience did he have? Feel my ass. Process my ass. What else could he feel? He even wanted to kill them. Xiahao wanted to kill all the reporters who asked these stupid questions. They were too disgusting. Who would answer such a nonsensical question? The other elite students were also so angry that their faces turned pale. If they weren't seriously injured and didn't have any combat power left, they would have fought with these shameless reporters. "Get out, get out. This is a restricted area of the hospital. Unauthorized people are not allowed in. Leave immediately." At this time, the people from the hospital finally arrived. Security guards appeared one by one and chased the student reporters out. "Mr. Xia, please answer my question. What do you think about this failure?" "Yes, I wonder what your next move will be for this freshman Xiaping who defeated you. Will you challenge him again to wash away the shame of this failure?" Even though they were chased out by a group of tall and strong security guards, the group of student reporters were still shouting. They passed their microphones over, hoping to get an answer from Xiahao and the others. Scram! Xiahao flipped out. He could no longer suppress the anger in his heart. Half an hour later, the hospital regained its peace. More than 100 student reporters were all asked to leave. The surrounding area was heavily guarded, and many security guards appeared. This was because some student reporters were unwilling to give up and tried to sneak in to get first-hand information. However, Xiahao and the others were not happy about such treatment at all. This was simply an undeserved calamity. What the hell was going on? Damn it, what happened? Why did the news that we were defeated by the freshman Xiaping spread to everyone? Even reporters came to interview us. This is too exaggerated. An elite student said gloomily. He still couldn't understand why this happened. Only elite students would know what happened in the training tower. The others shouldn't know. Moreover, there shouldn't be any elite students who would be so bored as to spread this news to everyone. Look, there's news about us on the school forum. An elite student went online and immediately found the hottest topic on the school forum. Xiahao and the others looked over and saw the content of the post. Immediately, their faces became extremely ugly. Xiaping! An elite student immediately roared. Such complete content, such accurate photos. Other than Xiaping, no one else can come up with this. That's right. It must be him. This is a photo taken in the combat room. Other than Xiaping, who else can have such a photo? He actually put everything about us on the internet. Everyone knows about it. This is a disgrace. This is a great disgrace. Now the whole school knows that we were defeated by a freshman. No wonder so many student reporters came. Damn it, that Xiaoping is shameless to the extreme. He beat us up and still won't let it go. He even wants to completely ruin our reputation. He wants to step on our corpses to climb up. He's extremely vicious. I will not live under the same sky as him. A group of elite students roared. Their faces were red. They were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. Some even spat out a mouthful of blood, staining the white bandages red. Xiaoping, I will never forgive you. Chapter 498. The news of Xiaoping defeating an elite student was not only spread in Yanhuang University, but also outside of Yanhuang University. Many people knew about it. After all, Xiaoping was an influential figure in the entire Cloud Realm. He had almost caused a war between humans and demons, and at the same time he had killed Scorpion 13 and other Demon King's descendants. He was strong and had a bright future. Some martial arts organizations believed that if this young man did not die in the future, he would definitely become a king. Therefore, many martial arts organizations would collect all kinds of information about Xiaoping. At the same time, in the Silver Wolf City Governor's mansion. Isn't Xiaoping one of our suspects? The Wolf King Niao Wudao sat in his study, flipping through all kinds of information. He exuded a domineering aura as if he was the only one in the world. Next to him stood 2 or 3 elders respectfully. They were the members of the Nie family responsible for gathering intelligence. These elders were all at the Master Realm, and their martial arts were unfathomable. Is it possible that he killed my grandson, Nie Zhen? Nie Wudao's eyes were filled with murderous intent. In order to find his grandson's murderer, he had not had a good night's sleep. He swore that he would catch the murderer and tear him to pieces. However, so far they had not found the murderer. There was not even a single clue. After all, the murder took place in the Misty Mountains. It was an independent space, and they could not enter the Misty Mountains to investigate. In this case, the clues they could obtain were quite limited. Yes, he also participated in the Misty Mountains and is one of the suspects who killed Nie Zhan, an elder said in a deep voice. However, he is only 18 years old and joined Yanhuang University this year. He is a new student with extraordinary talent, but he was only in the 8th heaven of martial warrior at that time. Zhener was already in the martial master realm. It was impossible for Xiaoping to kill Zhener, so his suspicion is very low. Furthermore, he cultivates fist techniques, not sword techniques. This clue was very important. No matter how talented a martial artist was, it was too difficult to cultivate 2 martial arts to the acme of perfection at the same time. Actually, it wasn't impossible, but it required time. It required months and years of cultivation before it could be achieved. Xiaoping was only 18 years old at most. At such a young age, not only did he have to improve his cultivation by leaps and bounds, he also had to sharpen his martial skills, and at the same time, cultivate the 2 martial arts to the acme of perfection. They felt that this situation was basically impossible. Humph! Invincible Nie sneered. Martial artist 8th firmament? This is just his cultivation on the surface. Have you ever thought that he was actually hiding his cultivation? In fact, he was already in the 9th heaven of martial disciple realm long ago. He even broke through to the martial master realm the moment he entered the Cloud Mist mountain range. His strength is exactly the same as Zhener's. The elders became silent, because this conjecture was indeed possible, but it was quite far-fetched. After all, among the students, there were some who were stronger than Xiaoping, and some who had a grudge against the Nie family and were proficient in sword techniques. These students were more suspicious than Xiaoping. However, Invincible Nie seemed to be going crazy in his search for the culprit. He couldn't help but be suspicious of anyone he saw, wanting to get to the bottom of the matter. They didn't want to get on Invincible Nie's bad side at this point in time. In short, keep an eye on him. Invincible Nie's eyes gleamed coldly. As long as he really is the murderer who killed Zhener, there will definitely be some traces left behind. Moreover, he obtained the golden glow bead from Zhener's body. I don't believe that he won't be tempted. He will use this treasure for the rest of his life and keep it hidden. As soon as he reveals a trace of his whereabouts, inform me immediately. By then, no one will be able to protect him. A murderous aura emanated from his body, like a wolf king in the grassland, waiting to devour someone. The longer time passed, the stronger the murderous intent in his heart grew. Because one of the Nye family's prodigies died just like that, the loss was too great. It was an unbearable pain. Yes, master. The elders nodded solemnly, but they didn't think much of it. Because every time they found a student who was slightly suspicious, Invincible Nye would remind them like this. They were already numb to it. Even so, they would still send someone to keep an eye on him. A few days later, in a villa in the elite zone, in the training room, Xiaping sat upright on the ground. Demon cores and demon spirit stones were placed on the ground. These were the treasures he obtained from the demon spirit mine, piled up together. Boom! In an instant, a dark red flame burst out from his body. Like a sun, it immediately incinerated the demon cores and demon spirit stones. A large amount of demonic aura was burned away by the flame. In just a few breaths, these demon cores were melted into pure life energy. Whoosh! Xiaping circulated his qigong. All 108,000 pores on his body were breathing in and out. A large amount of life energy seeped into his body through every pore. Between heaven and earth at this moment, with Xiaping as the center, a vortex of energy seemed to have formed. A terrifying amount of spiritual energy of heaven and earth gushed in from all directions, like rivers flowing into the sea. These life energies seeped through his pores and entered the solar furnace in the depths of his dantian. The energy was constantly being calcined, tempered, and rapidly transformed into true yuan within his body. At this moment, the true yuan in the depths of his dantian was so dense that it seemed to have formed a dark red ocean. It gushed out in all directions like a raging sea. The meridians in his body were also like a huge river, containing the water from the sea. They constantly surged and flowed, crazily tempering the meridians in his body. Bang, bang, bang. When the true yuan energy reached its peak, a meridian would immediately be broken. It was like a tightly shut door being smashed into pieces, causing his body to become even stronger. Even the 2 or 3 hell golden crow cells in his body were awakened at this moment. They were refined by the true yuan and transformed into large amounts of life energy, constantly replenishing his body's potential. The flames on his body became even hotter, spreading out in all directions. It was as though the entire training room had turned into a furnace. The surrounding steel seemed to show signs of melting under such flames. After an unknown period of time, when the demon cores and demon spirit stones were completely refined, the true yuan in his body had reached its peak. Xiaping's eyes revealed a terrifying light. He could feel several meridians in his body being broken. Up until now, he had already broken through a total of 36 meridians. If someone could look into Xiaping's body, they would discover that the 36 meridians were like 36 rivers gushing forth. The power contained within them was earth-shattering. At this moment, 3 meridians appeared, forming a triangular shape. They supported each other, complementing each other, forming a faint resonance with the true yuan, causing his body to tremble. Chapter 499. The moment the 3 meridians were formed, the image of a golden crow of hell appeared above Xiaping's head. This was an illusion formed by the condensation of dark red flames. Every feather on it was condensed from flames. It raised its head to the sky and let out a crisp cry that spread in all directions. Such a terrifying aura stood between heaven and earth, emitting a noble, unfathomable, chaotic, primitive, and other auras. Any living creature that saw this would kneel down, not daring to show any disrespect. This was the phenomenon produced when one's qigong cultivation reached the pinnacle. This is the time. Xiaping immediately knew that at this moment, whether it was his mental power or the true yuan energy in his body, they had reached the pinnacle of his current realm. He already had the opportunity to break through. It was as if success had come naturally. Dong! With a slight movement of his mental power, the 37th meridian was immediately connected. All the bottlenecks were as weak as tofu, unable to withstand the true yuan in his body. 4th layer martial master. The moment the 37th meridian was connected, Xiaping immediately knew that he had advanced to the 4th layer martial master realm. This was the realm of an intermediate martial master. Whether it was true yuan or physical strength, They had both greatly increased at this moment. His body had also been tempered a step further, becoming incomparably strong. The golden crystal in the depths of his mind was also melting, continuously strengthening his mental power. It extended into the distance, as if the entire world was under his control. This is the fourth layer martial master realm, the realm of an intermediate martial master. Xiaping clenched his fists. He circulated his mental power and looked inside his body. He felt that his meridians seemed to have more than doubled in strength. They were incomparably tough, and each one had expanded to an unimaginable degree. Even after being tempered by True Yuan time and time again, his meridians were as tough as cowhide. What was even more shocking was that each of his meridians had turned dark red at this moment, containing the aura of a demon from hell. It was as if the magma of hell was flowing around his meridians. The True Yuan even seemed to have fused with his blood, containing a boundless life force. Legend had it that when one's martial cultivation reached an unimaginable realm, the martial artist's qigong and every cell in the body would fuse as one. At this time, every cell in the body was the main body. Even if one's head was chopped off, cut into pieces, or even crushed into pieces, the remaining cells could quickly regenerate. It could be said that this was the true undying body. However, this kind of realm was something that even a king could not achieve. This was a divine ability that was close to that of a god. However, even though Xiaping was worlds apart from that realm, he was already showing signs of evolving in that direction. If a king saw this scene, they would definitely be scared out of their wits. However, this was normal, as the Golden Crow of Hell and the Undying Phoenix had the same characteristics. They had the ability to rise from the ashes of fire. This was a power deep in their bloodline. As long as Xiaping continued to refine the Golden Crow's cells, it would only be a matter of time before he became like the Golden Crow, possessing all sorts of incredible abilities. It was not impossible for him to even have an undying body. Kill! Xiaping suddenly stood up from the ground, took a step forward and punched out. With his body as the center, a terrifying aura immediately erupted. The airflow within a radius of 2 to 3 kilometers was stirred up by his aura. The wind and clouds changed, as if it had become the center of a storm. Such a punch blasted through the air, and the metal door of the training room was blasted into pieces. It even extended out hundreds of meters to the center of the courtyard. There stood a rock garden that was over 10 meters tall. It was extremely hard and majestic. However, when the punch blasted over, the huge rock garden was surrounded by a strong wind. The entire rock garden was immediately blown into pieces, and some of the rocks were even blasted into powder. The strong wind also created a deep ravine on the ground, stretching for hundreds of meters. It was as if someone had used an excavator to dig out a tunnel. It was very shocking. As expected of a fourth layer martial master. That's pretty good power. Xiaping was very satisfied. The power of that light punch just now was much more tyrannical than what he had done before. After advancing to the fourth layer martial master, his strength had grown by leaps and bounds. Right, I wonder how much hatred I've gained these days? Xiaping suddenly thought of this matter. He had been cultivating in seclusion for the past few days, planning to break through to the fourth layer martial master. He didn't pay attention to what was happening in the outside world. At this time the system said, "Congratulations to the host. Some elite students have developed a great hatred for you. This time you've gained a total of 1.5 million hatred points." 1.5 million hatred points. Xiaping raised his eyebrows. Although this wasn't too much hatred points, it was still a considerable number after accumulating for a long time. And this time not only did he gain hatred points, but he also received 8,000 energy stones from Xia Hao and the others. They were all sent to his villa by the courier the next day. It seems that I already have a lot of resources on me. With these energy stones and the blood dragon pill given by the city lord of Western Desolation City, it won't be a problem to break through to the fifth layer martial master. However, Xiaping had just been promoted to martial master. He had to consolidate for a period of time before he could make a breakthrough. Ding dong! At this moment, a notification sounded on Xiaping's communicator. It seemed that there were a few missed calls in the past few days. It's Liang Quan, the director of the giant company's branch in Yanhuang University. A few missed calls were all from him? Could it be that all the stolen goods have been sold? Xiaoping's eyes flashed. During his seclusion for a few days, he had also handed over all the stolen goods he had obtained from the wind-chasing bandits and the gang to the giant company to sell. If it was an ordinary company, it definitely wouldn't be able to eat such a huge amount of property. However, this was the giant company, one of the 3 giants in the cloud realm. These property were only a small amount. Moreover, as an official member of the giant company wouldn't investigate where these things came from. They would only do their best to help sell them and try their best to ensure Xiaoping's interests. This was one of the benefits of being a member of the giant company. Otherwise, even if ordinary people obtained such treasures, they wouldn't be able to sell these things. If they were sold to ordinary companies and were seen by people with ulterior motives, it was possible that they would even kill and steal the treasures. It was very dangerous. Even if they weren't killed and robbed, they would still be cheated of a large sum of money. Chapter 500. Ding! Immediately, a virtual projection appeared. A fat middle-aged man in a beige suit appeared in front of Xiaoping. He looked like the Maitreya Buddha and was extremely amiable. This was Liang Quan, the manager of the Yanhuang University branch of the giant company. Although he looked kind and harmless now, he was an expert at the peak of the grand power realm. Many people had been defeated by him, which made people tremble with fear. Xiaoxia, your seclusion is finally over. I had a hard time looking for you. At this time, Liang Quan, who was terrifying in the outside world, was very friendly to Xiaoping. It was like a spring breeze. Huh. It can't be. Your cultivation has reached the 4th sky of the martial master realm. Your cultivation speed is too fast. What medicine did you take? Liang Quan's eyes were very sharp. Even through the virtual projection, he could see that Xiaoping had made great progress. However, after seeing it, he was dumbfounded. Xiaoping's cultivation speed was too abnormal. He had just reached the martial master realm not long ago, but now he had reached the 4th sky of the martial master realm. This was already the realm of an intermediate martial master. Even among the many elite students, this was a cornerstone of combat strength. It's okay. Xiaoping said modestly. This level of strength is still far from enough to win the genius battle. You still want to win the genius battle in 3 months? Liang Quan's mouth twitched. He felt that he had underestimated Xiaoping's ambition. He had just become an elite student, but he wanted to compete with those geniuses who had been elite students for God knows how many years. If it was any other student who said this, he would definitely laugh out loud. However, this person in front of him had almost stirred up the war between the demon race and the human race. He had become a martial master not long after entering Yanhuang University. Such a person's words could not be ignored. Actually, it's not impossible. Liang Quan's eyes flashed. If you can reach the 7th sky of the martial master realm in 3 months, you might really have a chance to win a place in the genius battle. Do you have a way? Xiaoping was tempted. Liang Quan stared at Xiaoping and said in a deep voice, if I'm not wrong, you should be cultivating a fire attribute cultivation method. Yes. Xiaoping nodded. The pure yang immortal art was indeed a powerful fire attribute cultivation technique. Liang Quan continued, fire-type techniques are extremely yang and unyielding, and have boundless power. However, as the saying goes, solitary yin cannot grow, solitary yang cannot give birth. If you can find some yin-type treasures that can neutralize your flame energy arts, then you'll be able to complement the yin and yang, and fuse fire and water together. With that, your energy arts and cultivation base will advance rapidly. He paused for a moment before continuing. In the savage forest hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from Yanhuang University, there is a place called the Cold Moon Pond. There are many water moon grasses growing there. These water moon grasses absorb the essence of the moon and the cold energy of the deep pool to grow. After absorbing the essence of the moon, they contain extremely pure moon energy. If you can find some water moon grass and make them into medicinal pills, then use your energy arts to assimilate them. You'll be able to fuse fire and water together, and the sun and moon coexist. That will be very beneficial to your cultivation. As an expert at the peak of the Grand Master realm, he was very knowledgeable and experienced in martial arts. Therefore, he was able to tell Xiaping's cultivation speed at once, which could be said to have hit the nail on the head. It could only be said that the martial arts cultivation of a Grand Master Realm warrior was unfathomable. Savage Forest. Cold Moon Pond. Xiaping knew that the so-called Savage Forest was a primeval forest hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from Yanhuang University. It covered a large area, and just its diameter alone was tens of millions of kilometers. It was a continuous mountain range, and in the depths of the forest lived many wild beasts and demon beasts. Each of them was extremely terrifying, and even humans could not occupy this primeval forest. However, he had to admit that this savage forest had many treasures, and many humans went to this forest to adventure. Some people could become rich overnight and obtain treasures, but more people became white bones and were completely buried in this primeval forest. It could be said that this was an extremely dangerous place. However, if the Cold Moon Pond really had a spirit medicine like the water moon grass, then he had to go there this time. This was an opportunity to quickly improve his cultivation base. But you must also be careful, Liang Quan warned, because the water moon grass is extremely precious, and each one is very valuable. Especially for the demon race, it is also a rare spirit medicine. Therefore, the Cold Moon Pond has already been occupied by the Silver Flood Dragon King of the 72 Caves. The entire Cold Moon Pond is filled with its subordinates, the Silver Frost Snakes. These demon beasts are extremely cruel, and they kill everywhere they go. Of course, the Silver Flood Dragon King often secludes himself in the depths of the Cold Moon Pond to cultivate. If there is nothing major, he will not come out. The danger you will face is usually those silver frost snakes. But even so, these silver frost snakes are not easy to deal with. They are extremely fast like silver rays of light, and can spit out cold air, instantly freezing the enemy. Moreover, they are extremely poisonous. Once bitten and without timely rescue, you will fall to the ground and die in 3 seconds. The most terrifying thing is that there are so many of them. There are at least hundreds of thousands or even millions of them. If they flock together, it is no less than a natural disaster. Everywhere they go, not even a blade of grass grows. His expression was solemn. In the war between the human race and the demon race, these silver frost snakes moved out and easily massacred several human cities. Even high-tech weapons could not exterminate them. When these silver frost snakes came out of their caves, it was also known as a snake disaster. I understand. Xiaping nodded. Seeing that Xiaping understood the danger, Liang Quan did not continue speaking. He changed the topic. "Oh right, those items that you brought back earlier, hand them over to the giant company to sell. Because these items are all best-selling items, it is very easy to sell them. This time you obtained a total of 150 billion federal coins. It can be considered a huge fortune." Speaking up to here, his tone was filled with envy. To obtain 180 billion federal coins in one go, even if he was at the Grandmaster realm, if he wanted to earn this amount of money, he would have to spend a lot of time. This was simply getting rich overnight. However, he would not ask where these items came from. After all, every official member of the giant company definitely had their own secrets, and he could not delve too deeply into them. 180 billion federal coins. Hearing this number, Xiaping also sucked in a breath of cold air. Although he already knew that he had obtained a lot of treasures, he did not expect that he would obtain 180 billion federal coins. This was an extraordinary number, and it was also higher than his previous estimation. This was also very normal. After all, he had only made a simple estimation before, and he had underestimated the value of many items. Chapter 501. Ding Dong. In the next second, 180 billion federal coins appeared in Xiaping's bank account. Including his previous assets, his total assets now exceeded 200 billion federal coins. Even in the entire Sky Realm, this was an extremely wealthy person. This was wealth that ordinary people could never hope to obtain in their lifetime. Of course, compared to kings or some Master Realm monsters, he could not compare at all. "How do you plan to spend so much money?" Liang Quan asked curiously. This amount of money was so large that even a Master Realm expert like him felt it was a bit of a hot potato. Xiaping immediately said, "I want to modify my private spaceship, the Radiant God." He was more and more aware of the importance of a private spaceship. The sky realm was too vast. It could easily cover a distance of hundreds of thousands of kilometers. If humans relied on themselves, they would probably only be able to explore a small area until they died of old age. However, with a spaceship it was completely different. Could fly to any place at will. It was extremely fast and greatly shortened travel time. It was an extremely important means of transportation. Moreover, there were all kinds of powerful high-tech martial arts on the spaceship. Even if they encountered a powerful demon beast, they could escape in time and even kill it. For Xia Ping, there was no equipment more important than the Radiant God. Therefore, after obtaining a large amount of money, the first thing he wanted to do was to modify the Radiant God and enhance its abilities. Modify the Radiant God? How do you want to modify it? Liang Quan raised his eyebrows. He was secretly amazed. He originally thought that a young man like Xia Ping would enjoy himself after obtaining a large amount of money and buy all kinds of luxuries. He did not expect that this kid would know how to modify a private spaceship. This was indeed a very smart move. The longer one lived in the sky realm, the more one knew the importance of a private spaceship. With a spaceship, one could go to all kinds of places for adventure. The benefits were endless. However, this kind of common sense could only be understood by warriors who had lived in the sky realm for a long time. He did not expect a young man like Xia Ping from planet Yan Huang to understand this so quickly. This was no small matter. Xia Ping's eyes lit up. He stretched out a finger and said with a very serious expression, "First, I want to increase the space of the Radiant God by at least 5 times. Next, I want to add some training facilities on the spaceship such as a gravity chamber, a training room and so on. Modify the engine and increase the Radiant God's speed to at least 10 times the speed of sound. Finally, I also want to enhance the spacecraft's attack system. It can be equipped with nuclear bullets, energy cannons, and other equipment. It would be best if these attack weapons can reach the level where they can easily kill a Master Realm demon beast or blast a mountain into pieces with one shot." He listed a few conditions of his own to modify the spaceship. What? Hearing this, Liang Quan was dumbfounded. Not only did the space become bigger, this kid even wanted to add a gravity room on top of it. What did he think the spaceship was? Do you know how much it costs to build a gravity chamber? That was an astronomical figure. Moreover, he also wanted to increase the Radiant God's speed to 10 times the speed of sound. That way, it would be able to fly 10,000 kilometers in an hour, and the 400,000 to 500,000 kilometers would only take a few days. Of course, flying at full speed would cause the spacecraft's engine to overheat. Flying for 8 hours a day was the spacecraft's limit. The rest of the time, the spacecraft had to stop and rest. However, each of the engines that could reach such a flying speed was terrifyingly expensive. Even a Master Realm martial artist would want to cry and his face would turn green at the sight of such a number. The most ridiculous thing was that he wanted to strengthen the spaceship's attack system. He even wanted to install energy cannons, nuclear bombs, and so on. What was this kid thinking? Could it be that he wanted to start a war? Or was he thinking of slaughtering a certain demon tribe? It could be said that such equipment was not inferior to some small battleships. To a certain extent, its performance might even surpass them. If it was an ordinary person, this would be an unreasonable request, and the government would send out an order to arrest them. However, Xia Ping was a member of the giant corporation and had all sorts of special privileges. Hence, as long as one had the money, the giant corporation would completely satisfy these requests. Liang Quan calculated and said, "It's not a problem to satisfy these requests. However, to modify it to this extent, it would require at least 150 billion federal coins. Just this modification fee alone was enough to buy 5 Radiant God spaceships. However, this was also worth it. Because with such a performance, it was unknown how many times more terrifying it was. It was equivalent to piloting a small battleship, and such combat power was enough to easily annihilate a small demon tribe." "No problem." Xia Ping waved his hand. He didn't care at all. In any case, this money was obtained from the Windchaser bandits and unable to help them. It could be considered an unexpected windfall. This was all for the sake of increasing his own strength. In fact, this could be considered a kind of investment. Moreover, such a spaceship could be used for tens or even hundreds of years. This wasn't much at all. In fact, he had absolute confidence that as long as he had this modified spaceship, he would definitely be able to earn even more money. With the ding-dong sound, Xiaoping transferred another 150 billion federal coins to Liang Quan. This way, he would only be left with 50 billion federal coins. The modification will take 3 days, Liang Quan said to Xiaoping. When the modification is complete, the spaceship will be sent to your villa. Just accept it at that time. He was decisive and quickly agreed. To the giant corporation, this was a small matter. For a spaceship like this, as long as there was money, it could be completed in a matter of minutes. All right. Xiaoping nodded. 3 days later, at a parking garage in the elite district, Xiaoping stood beside the parking garage. The modified Radiant God spaceship was already quietly parked in the empty space in front of the villa. At this time, the size of the Radiant God spaceship was 3 times larger than before. Its appearance was filled with a sci-fi feel, and all sorts of advanced weapon systems were installed on it. It was simply like a dormant ancient beast. If anyone wanted to cause trouble for him, as long as they weren't at the King realm, he would be able to easily kill them. What satisfied Xiaoping the most was that the spaceship was equipped with a gravity training room. It could automatically adjust the gravity to provide an environment with 1 to 20 times the normal gravity. Cultivating in such a gravity training room would definitely yield twice the results with half the effort. Moreover, when the spaceship was flying, he wouldn't waste any time. He could continuously improve his martial arts cultivation. It's time to head to the Cold Moon Lake. Xiaoping clenched his fists. This trip to the Cold Moon Lake was a must. Not only was the water moon grass extremely helpful to his cultivation, but more importantly, the place was filled with dangers and many demonic beasts. Heading to this dangerous place, he could fight with many demonic beasts and hone his martial arts skills. This was extremely beneficial to improving his martial arts cultivation. It could be said that in order to improve his cultivation as soon as possible and advance in the Genius Tournament, he had to head to the Cold Moon Lake. Moreover, he also felt a sense of urgency. Although no one knew that he had killed Niezhan for the time being, there was no guarantee that he would give himself away at any time and be discovered by the Wolf King. Chapter 502. In the sky, a flying ship was flying at 10 times the speed of sound. It tore through the air like a gust of wind, heading into the distance. This flying ship was Xiaoping's Radiant God. At this time, it had already flown for 7 days. It had finally flown from Yanhuang University to the edge of Savage Forest. Savage Forest had many mountains, one after another. The plants were lush and lush. Many trees stood tall, each of them extremely huge. They were hundreds of meters tall, and it would take 4 to 5 people to wrap their arms around them. From time to time, terrifying roars of demonic beasts could be heard coming from the depths of the forest, giving off a wild aura. It was as if this forest had always been like this since ancient times. At this time, Xiaoping was in the gravity room of the Radiant God, cultivating in seclusion, because the Radiant God could be controlled by the AI. There was no need for Xiaoping to worry at all. Therefore, he could cultivate in the gravity room without worrying about anything else. Phew! Xiaoping slowly opened his eyes and let out a long breath. Boundless quintessential qi vibrated in his body. The quintessential qi he spat out contained a terrifying power that could shatter steel. Furthermore, this power was under 5 times the gravity. It was terrifying. 5 times the gravity indeed. The effect of cultivation is too good. Xiaoping could not help but sigh. This was the first time he had entered the gravity room to cultivate. However, he soon realized the great benefits of cultivating in the gravity room. Under such gravity, be it his strength, speed, or the circulation of quintessential qi, they all became 5 times slower. The originally easy movements became extremely strenuous. The effect of this gravity was omnidirectional. Not only did the muscles and bones have to bear the great pressure, but even the weak internal organs also had a hard time under the pressure of the gravity. If it was an ordinary person, such gravity would have ruptured their internal organs and even their capillaries, putting their lives in danger. However, to Xiaoping, who had entered the martial master realm, this bit of gravity was nothing. In just 2 or 3 days, he had completely adapted to the environment of 5 times the gravity. He could walk freely, and at the same time he could use his strength at will. Once he got used to the gravity, Xiaping felt that his body had been greatly tempered. It was like a piece of steel that had been tempered thousands of times, becoming extremely strong. Even the meridians of the body were tempered to be very tough. No matter how the boundless quintessence attacked, it could not harm the meridians in the slightest. This was a great benefit. At the same time, Xiaping also brought out 200 to 300 energy stones to absorb them. He absorbed all the energy within them and converted it into primary energy to enhance his body's potential. These 7 days were not wasted. With such a superior environment and abundant resources, he was able to break through 2 or 3 meridians, greatly increasing his true essence. If I continue to cultivate in this gravitational room, I might be able to break through to the 5th heaven of Martial Master in a month. Xiaping clenched his fists and felt the abundant energy in his body. He felt extremely confident. Ding dong, at this moment, a system voice sounded from the flying ship. Master, we have arrived at a distance of 150 kilometers from the cold moon lake in the savage forest. Do you want to continue? Have we arrived? Xia stood up, a cold glint in his eyes. No, find a valley nearby and land temporarily. Don't let the demons discover us. If he landed directly on the cold moon lake, the commotion would be too big. It might even awaken the silver flood dragon king. If he angered a demon king, it would not be a joke. He would definitely die. Thus, he chose to temporarily park the flying ship near the cold moon lake and secretly advance alone. This way, he would not need to alarm the silver flood dragon king and obtain the water moon grass. With a clap, the radiant god chose a remote valley to land and used this place as a temporary parking spot. Xiaping opened the cabin door and walked out. The instant the flying ship landed, all the creatures in the valley seemed to be alarmed. When they saw Xiaping walk out of the cabin door, it caused an uproar. It's a human. Damn it, a human actually dares to appear in the savage forest. He must be courting death. I haven't eaten a human in a long time. This is a great opportunity. Even the heavens are helping me. Little ones, kill him and we'll have an extra meal tonight. Wolf demons immediately appeared in the valley. Most of them were in the martial practitioner realm, but there were a dozen or so wolf demon leaders who seemed to have advanced to the martial master realm. The strongest one was a martial master of the 5th heaven. This was a wolf demon valley. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Immediately, a large number of wolf demons roared angrily. The sound waves reverberated. They wanted to kill Xiaping. There was no need for any reason. Humans and demons could not coexist. They would kill each other the moment they met. There were also quite a number of demons that were extremely savage and treated humans as delicious food. You're really courting death. Seeing these wolf demons pouncing over, all of them bared their fangs. The air was filled with the smell of blood. Xiaping's eyes flashed coldly and he took a step forward. Boom! Immediately, a huge dark red flame emerged from Xiaping's body. It was like a sun. Countless flames erupted, engulfing a radius of 1 kilometer. Bang bang bang. The flames exploded in all directions, bombarding the wolf demons. When the flames landed on the wolf demons, they all let out shrill screams. Their bodies were immediately set on fire, contaminated by the terrifying flames. However, no matter how they struggled, even rolling on the ground, they could not get rid of the flames. The flames would only extinguish when their bodies were burned to ashes. This was how terrifying Xiaping was now. After advancing to the 4th heaven of the martial master realm, the temperature of the flames he controlled had increased by more than a few hundred degrees. These flames could even instill his spiritual power, like the fire of the soul. Unless the opponent had a power far greater than his, a unique treasure, or he chose to extinguish the flames automatically, the flames would never be extinguished. Instead, they would become more and more intense until the opponent was reduced to ashes. Human. Immediately, the wolf demon leaders were in despair. Their bodies were on fire. Enduring the pain, they pounced over crazily, wanting to perish together with Xiaping. Slap palm. Xiaping stepped forward and slapped out with his palm. Dense palm prints appeared in the sky, condensing into a solid substance. They displayed the power of extreme yang, which was incomparably terrifying. With a boom, the wolf demons that pounced over were all slapped by this palm print. In an instant, their internal organs were shaken to pieces. Their bodies were torn apart, and large amounts of blood flowed out, staining the ground. A few minutes later, all the wolf demons in this valley died tragically. Not a single one was left alive. Chapter 503. How easy. For the current Xiaping, killing all the wolf demons in the valley was just a small test of his skills. Also, after stepping out of the 5 times gravity room, he felt that his strength had increased by a level. The strength of his every move was much stronger than before. When the dozen or so wolf demon leaders attacked him, he simply slapped them to death with a light palm. It was much easier than before. Walala, Xiaping made a grabbing motion with his hand and immediately picked up the demon cores on the ground. These were the life essences left behind by the dead wolf demons. They were very valuable. He used the technique in his body and the image of the sun furnace appeared, instantly refining the demon cores. Large amounts of demon chi were burned and purified. Immediately, large amounts of life energy flowed into Xiaping's body, strengthening his quintessential energy. The quintessential energy in his meridians flowed like the ocean. Not bad, this place is not bad. It's suitable to be a place to park my flying shuttle. After killing all the wolf demons, Xiaping decided to temporarily take this valley for himself. After all, this valley was a gathering place for ordinary wolf demons. It was like a nest. With these wolf demons as deterrents, no other demons would come to live in this valley for a short period of time. It was a suitable place to park his flying shuttle. The cold moon pond is 150 kilometers ahead. It's not very far. I'll just run there. Xiaping activated the holographic projection, and a part of the savage forest appeared. Then he found the location of the cold moon pond and immediately used the Kuanpeng steps. A pair of quintessential energy wings grew on his back, and he leaped towards the trees at a very fast speed. The radiant god stopped at this place and activated the concealment system. It distorted the light and hid in the valley. If no one touched it, they would definitely not discover the radiant god's existence. So, after running for tens of kilometers, he sensed many demon beasts lurking in the depths of the forest. There were dangers everywhere. But Xiaping ignored them all and advanced at full speed. Some of the demon beasts that tried to find trouble with Xiaping were completely shaken off by his speed. Even if they rode on horses, they would not be able to catch up. There's a battle ahead? At this moment, Xiaping sensed that there was a battle ahead. There was an intense tremor in the air. At the same time, there were shouts of killing. It was a battle between martial masters. With a thought, he immediately chased towards the center of the battle. In the forest. Damn it! Don't you know that we're from the Zhou clan? If you dare to kill us, the Zhou clan will definitely not let you off. They will definitely tear you into pieces. Once my father finds out about what happened today, you will not be able to escape death even if you flee to the ends of the earth. We are graduates of Yanhuang University. If you kill us, Yanhuang University will not let you go. Immediately, 4 or 5 young men shouted angrily. Among them, a young man in white with a feminine face was shocked and angry. His heart was burning with anxiety as he tried his best to resist the enemy's attack. There were 12 or 13 people attacking them. Each of them was vicious and merciless. Their cultivation had reached at least the 3rd heaven of martial masters. Some were even at the 5th heaven of martial masters. However, the strongest among them was only a 3rd heaven martial master. Compared to this group of enemies, the difference was too great. These people were disciples of the Zhou clan? A top student from Yanhuang University? I heard that the Zhou clan is also a king clan with extraordinary power. Furthermore, being able to enter Yanhuang University, they are definitely not simple. Even if they did not become elite students, their status is still above everyone else. So what if the Zhou clan is powerful? This is Savage Forest. There are many demonic beasts and it is desolate and uninhabited. If a few people die here, who can find us? That's right. Now that we have attacked them, we have already formed a great grudge. If we don't eliminate them now, do we have to wait for them to return to their clan and send an army to eliminate us? We definitely cannot do something like releasing the tiger back into the mountain. We can only blame this group of young masters for being unlucky. Who asked them to meet us? Furthermore, they are carrying treasures on them. Swaggering around in a place like Savage Forest, if they don't die, who will? The 10 or so criminals discussed and quickly made a decision. They wanted to kill these 4 or 5 Zhou clan disciples. They had to eliminate them completely without mercy. After coming to this conclusion, they were even more vicious and merciless. They no longer had any reservations. These 5 Zhou clan disciples were facing an extremely great pressure, and immediately felt like they could not hold on any longer. It's over this time. The feminine-looking man's expression was extremely unsightly. Originally, they had left their clan to adventure in Savage Forest, hoping to have a fortuitous encounter and become outstanding, reaching the heavens in one step. If they could find some precious spirit herbs in Savage Forest that could help them be reborn, they would have struck it rich. However, they did not expect that Savage Forest was a lawless zone. There were people who adventured, people who sought treasures, people who trained, but there were also people who harbored ill intentions and wanted to kill people to snatch their treasures. If one did not have sufficient strength and continued to adventure in Savage Forest, they would become fat sheep for others. After all, this place did not have the laws of the Federation, nor the police. Furthermore, it was desolate and uninhabited. Even if you were killed, no one would be able to find your corpse. You would have died for nothing. If I had known earlier, I would not have come. A young man felt so regretful that his intestines turned green. His entire body trembled. They were hoping to get lucky. Although they knew that there were many criminals in Savage Forest, and that if they were not careful, they would be targeted and killed for their treasures. However, they thought that they had advanced to the martial master realm and had a certain degree of ability to protect themselves. Furthermore, they were hoping that they would not be so unlucky as to meet bandits. However, things were just so coincidental. Not long after they entered Savage Forest, they were targeted. They could not escape even if they wanted to. Jia, Zhou clan disciples? Die for me. Immediately, 2 or 3 bandits laughed coldly. They waved the swords in their hands and a sword chi flashed. They wanted to kill this group of people. We are dead. Immediately, this group of Zhou clan disciples revealed a look of despair. Even if they were beaten to death, they would never have thought that they would die in this desolate place. They clearly had a bright future, but now there was nothing left. Xiao. However, just at this moment 2 or 3 rays of light suddenly flew through the air. They broke through the air at an extremely fast speed, even exceeding the speed of sound. With a poochie sound, the 3 sword-wielding bandits did not know what happened. A bloody hole immediately appeared on their foreheads. Their eyes were wide open and blood dripped down. Chapter 504. What? Seeing this sudden turn of events, not only were the criminals who were chasing after the Zhou clan disciples, but even the Zhou clan disciples were completely dumbfounded. They did not know what had happened at all. Dead. One of the Zhou clan disciples was stunned. He looked dumbfoundedly at the 3 criminals who had fallen to the ground. When they fell to the ground, they were still holding onto their swords tightly. However, their eyes were wide open. Deep in their pupils there was fear, unwillingness, and confusion. It was as if they did not know what had happened. They had been killed just like that. What's going on? The effeminate young man was also a little puzzled. The 3 of them were obviously strong and had strong bodies, but they suddenly fell to the ground without any abnormalities. Whoosh! Before they could figure out what was going on, there was an air-piercing sound coming from the depths of the forest. With a strong wind, a figure instantly appeared in front of everyone. This person was Xia Ping. Who are you? One of the criminal leaders stared at Xia Ping. He could feel the tyrannical aura coming from this young man. It was like a towering mountain, unshakable. However, Xia Ping was clearly only a 4th-tier martial master while he was a 5th-tier martial master. His strength was at least a level higher than Xia Ping's, but he did not know why his heart felt extremely heavy. He did not feel that he had any hope of winning. The other criminals were also battle-hardened experts who had killed people like flies. Naturally, they could also feel the terror of the young man in front of them. He was definitely a ruthless person who had killed countless people. He was completely different from the Zhou clan disciples beside him. They are students from Yanhuang University and can be considered to be from the same sect. Can you give me some face and temporarily spare their lives? Xiaping stood with his hands behind his back. If you agree, I will allow you to leave alive. His tone was very calm, as if he was saying something natural. Initially, he did not want to make a move. After all, there were too many cases of killing and robbing in the Cloud Realm. If he had to deal with everyone, he would not have enough time. However, the other party was from Yanhuang University and could be considered to be from the same sect as him. He had also received a lot of care from Yanhuang University and could be said to have benefited a lot. As an elite student, he naturally had the obligation to help these students from Yanhuang University. Of course, if the enemy was too strong, he would not foolishly send himself to death. However, these criminals alone could not make him feel the slightest bit afraid. What? Hearing these words, the criminals at the side were like cats whose tails had been stepped on. They went crazy. This brat was really arrogant to the extreme. He had killed 3 of their companions the moment he attacked, and now he wanted to make them leave with their tails between their legs with just a few words. If this wasn't arrogance, then what was? If this kid was a grandmaster, they would turn around and leave without a second word. They were afraid that they would not be able to escape. However, this young man was only a 4th-layer martial master. In terms of strength, he was not far from them. In fact, they had the advantage in numbers. Bullshit. You killed our people, and you want us to leave with our tails between our legs? Who do you think you are? We're allowed to leave here alive? Do you think you're a grandmaster? Destroy him. Let him know that acting bravely for a just cause isn't a good thing. The group of criminals shouted angrily and glared at Xiaping. As soon as they finished speaking, they instantly attacked, exploding with the tyrannical strength of a martial master. They were like a human-shaped tyrannosaurus, surging in all directions like a tidal wave. He's too stupid. How dare he come up alone? Isn't he courting death? A Zhou clan disciple's face was pale. He had thought that he would be able to get out of danger with an additional helper. However, this kid was alone, yet he was facing so many criminals. He was clearly courting death. That kid is stupid. We can't be stupid like him. Let's take the opportunity to leave while he's fending off those criminals. Another Zhou clan disciple's eyes flickered. He wanted to take the opportunity to leave. They had the same thought. Although the person in front of them had helped them, it would not end well for them if they continued to stay here and fight to the death with the criminals. They might as well take the opportunity to leave. However, before they could do anything, Xiaping suddenly moved. He took a step forward and let out a loud roar. 8 heavenly dragons music. Wu, gu, ba, ma, ta, 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 ta. In an instant, the world condensed into these 8 syllables. Quintessential essence gathered and solidified. After advancing to the 4th firmament of a martial master, Xiaping's strength had grown by leaps and bounds. Now that he used the 8 heavenly dragons music, it had a trace of the might of the heavenly dragon's roar. When the syllables exploded, it produced an extremely terrifying sound wave power. Even the air turned into ripples. The waves swept in all directions, covering a radius of a kilometer. These Zhou clan disciples were clearly not attacked, but when they heard the sound, they felt as though their eardrums were about to burst. The blood in their bodies churned as they retreated. The group of criminals who were attacked by the 8 heavenly dragons music were even more miserable. Bang! 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 Their bodies seemed to have been struck by lightning. The sound waves reverberated in their bodies hundreds of times. It was as though they had been attacked by a peerless expert thousands of times. Boo! With a loud sound, they stood on the spot, bleeding from their orifices. Their eyes were wide open. They could not even move a single step before they were killed by the sound waves. At this moment, the ground seemed to have been swept by a storm, forcefully plundering a layer of the ground. Hundreds of cracks appeared, densely packed like spider webs. In the distance, rocks that were half the height of a person were shattered into pieces. You must be joking. When the Zhou clan's disciples saw this, they were all dumbfounded. They simply could not believe their eyes. Just a single roar had killed a large number of martial masters, and now there were only 2 or 3 of them left alive. They were even experts at the fifth firmament of a martial master. But even if they were still alive, their internal organs were severely injured, and they could not help but cough out blood. Monster, this kid is definitely a monster. We've kicked a metal plate. Hurry up and run. Let's go back and inform the boss. The remaining 3 criminals no longer dared to be arrogant. Having more than half of their companions killed in an instant, their prestige had long been destroyed. How could they still dare to complain? They did not even dare to say anything vicious. They quickly fled in 3 different directions, hoping to escape with their lives. Xia Ping's eyes flashed coldly as he punched the air. Myriad Beast Fist's 8th move, White Crane Slash. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, the shadow of a white crane seemed to appear behind him. He stood on one foot, like a peerless sword Dao grandmaster. Plants and trees could be used as swords. Immediately, dozens of sword chi burst out, piercing through the air like bullets. Chapter 505. Too Strong. When they saw all these villains were killed by Xia Ping, all these Zhou clan disciples turned pale with fright and were extremely shocked. Such a combat strength was simply formidable to the point of being a complete mess. If they were in his shoes, they would not be a match for this young man at all. He could kill them in a few breaths. Brother, thank you for saving us. The effeminate young man stood up and cupped his hands. We are all disciples of the Zhou clan. My name is Zhou Hao, this is Zhou Jia, Zhou Kong, Zhou Mu, Zhou Tu and Zhou Hua. May I know your name? He introduced himself and looked at Xia Ping with burning eyes. Xia Ping, also a student of Yanhuang University. Xia Ping reported his name. The other members of the Zhou clan did not have any reaction. Although the matter of the humans and the demonic beasts almost going to war had caused a huge commotion, there were also many people who did not pay attention to this matter. Even if they did, most people did not know that the culprit was Xia Ping. Only the students of Yanhuang University and some people with ulterior motives would notice. Therefore, it was normal that they did not know Xia Ping. At this moment, the young man, Zhou Hao, looked at Xia Ping and asked curiously, Brother, you should be very young, but you have already advanced to the martial master realm. Are you an elite student of Yanhuang University? Yes. Xia Ping nodded and did not hide anything. The other Zhou clan disciples were extremely shocked. Those who could become elite students of Yanhuang University were all monsters, unparalleled geniuses. They had the qualifications to be kings. It was no wonder that this kid was so strong. He was only a 4th-layer martial master, yet he could easily kill more than 10 criminals without suffering any injuries. Amazing! Zhou Hao looked at Xia Ping with jealousy and said, Brother Xia has improved so quickly. Your family must be very powerful. May I know which family you are from? He believed that this kid must have relied on the huge resources of his family to improve so quickly and become an elite student. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to have such powerful combat power at such a young age, and with his own hard work. No family, just a commoner, Xia Ping said indifferently. Commoner. Hearing this, Zhou Hao's spirit was lifted. He immediately felt a sense of superiority. So that was it. This kid was just a commoner. If that was the case, he did not have much of a background, so he did not need to worry too much. Thinking of this, his attitude changed slightly. Brother Xia, have you heard of my Zhou clan? The ancestor of the Zhou clan was known as the king of Shangzhou. He was the king of the business world, and the Zhou clan was also filthy rich. Their wealth could rival a country. If you are willing to join my Zhou clan and become a guest of the Zhou clan, you will definitely receive the recognition of the ancestor. This way, in the future, Brother Xia will definitely have a meteoric rise and stand out. Even becoming a king might not be impossible. He wanted to recruit Xia Ping. To the various king clans, they were like massive martial arts organizations. They hoped to recruit all kinds of talents into their clans. This way, they would be able to develop and strengthen their influence. However, after joining these families and obtaining the resources of these king families, they would become their subordinates. Their freedom would be greatly restricted, and they wouldn't be able to do as they pleased. No need. Xia Ping waved his hand. He wasn't used to being subservient. Zhou Hao was unwilling to give up. He continued to ask, Brother Xia, do you really not want to consider it? With the support of my Zhou clan, Brother Xia's future will be limitless. If you're a loner without any support or resources, even if you have talent, it will be extremely difficult for you to advance to become a king. He wanted to persuade Xia Ping with all his might. No need. Xia Ping flatly rejected. Since you guys are fine, I will take my leave first. He didn't want to waste time talking to Zhou Hao and the others. He wanted to leave immediately. With the giant company as his backing, it was unknown how much stronger the Zhou clan was. The resources and connections they could provide were also countless. Even a small Zhou clan wanted to recruit him, and even took out some empty promises to make him work for them? Did they really think that he was a fool? Wait. Zhou Hao called out to Xia Ping. He then changed the topic. If Brother Xia doesn't agree, it's fine too. However, we were attacked by bandits and suffered some injuries. If we continue to stay here, it's very possible that we would be attacked by other bandits. If it's convenient for Brother Xia, can you send us out of the savage forest? He raised another request. The other Zhou clan's disciples all had looks of anticipation in their eyes. They were afraid of staying here and didn't want to leave even for a moment. Send us out of the savage forest? Do you want me to send you back to a human city? Xia Ping frowned as he coldly laughed in his heart. He felt that this Zhou Hao was getting more and more insatiable. He had saved Zhou Hao's life, and that was already considered a great favor. Now he actually had so many requests. What did he take him for? Was he a subordinate of the Zhou clan? Naturally, if Brother Xia doesn't mind, it would be best if you could send us back to a human city. Zhou Hao's skin was extremely thick, and he didn't seem embarrassed at all. After hearing this, Xia Ping didn't want to continue talking to Zhou Hao. The reason why he saved Zhou Hao and the others was because they were all from Yanhuang University. But this didn't mean that this brat would be insatiable and take advantage of them. He waved his hand and resolutely rejected. I still have things to do here. It's not convenient for me to leave the savage forest. You guys can leave by yourselves. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a whoosh. Xia Ping leaped up lightly like a rock and left in a few breaths' time. Even if the Zhou clan's disciples wanted to persuade him to stay, they couldn't. Very soon, his figure completely disappeared into the forest. Fuck. Seeing Xia Ping leave, one of the Zhou clan's disciples cursed. That commoner called Xia Ping is too arrogant. He clearly saved us, so why didn't he send us out while he was at it? As the saying goes, to save a person to the end. If we were to leave and we were caught and killed by criminals, then he would be the one who caused our deaths. He was very dissatisfied with Xia Ping's attitude. Isn't that right? He actually dared to reject us. He's not giving us any face at all. This is a chance to befriend our Zhou clan, but he doesn't know how to cherish it. He doesn't understand the ways of the world at all. No wonder he's an ordinary commoner. He has no manners at all. I wonder how his parents raised him. A few of the Zhou clan's disciples cursed loudly. They were extremely displeased. They were disciples of aristocratic families, and everyone would try to curry favor with them when they were outside. Now that they met someone who treated them like this, they felt very dissatisfied. They felt that this brat didn't do his job well. This is what a so-called genius is like. He's eccentric and doesn't fit in with the crowd. Zhou Hao sneered, but he doesn't want to leave the savage forest. He's probably searching for treasures in this place. Chapter 506. Treasure Hunt. The Zhou clan's disciples looked at Zhou Hao. They understood what he was implying. He only has one purpose in coming to the barbaric forest, and that is to find treasures. Zhou Hao's eyes flickered. Moreover, he is alone. I can imagine that he is bold and fearless. Of course, it is also possible that he has found a secret treasure location and wants to take it all for himself. If we follow him, we might have a chance to get a share of the loot. His eyes revealed a greedy look. Follow him? I don't think that's a good idea. Although that guy is a little arrogant, his strength is not fake. That's right. If we are not careful, we will be discovered by him. When that happens, it will not make sense. The Zhou clan's disciples were also a little tempted. If they could follow such an expert to search for treasures, they might have a chance to pick up some scraps. They might even be the oriole behind the mantis stalking the cicada. The problem was that Zhou Hao's martial arts were very strong. It was too difficult for them to follow him without being discovered. It's okay. Zhou Hao sneered. I have a secret treasure with me called the Invisible Pearl. If I use my Qigong and completely activate the power of this secret treasure, I can distort light and achieve the effect of invisibility. Even our aura and the sound of our footsteps will be isolated by an invisible energy. Even a peak grandmaster will not be able to discover our existence. What? Hearing this, the Zhou clan's disciples were all shocked. Invisible pearl? Why do you have such a treasure with you? If you do, why didn't you take it out earlier? If they had used this treasure from the beginning, they would not have been discovered by those bandits. To tell you the truth, Zhou Hao said, this invisible pearl was secretly taken from my father's room. I took it out for this adventure in the barbaric forest. After this is over, we must return it. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. If it is not necessary, I will not use it casually. But now is the best opportunity. If we can follow that guy and obtain the treasure, then this trip will not be in vain. We will not have to leave with our tails between our legs. He was also a little regretful. If he had known earlier, he would have used this secret treasure. Fortunately, someone had come to save him just now. Otherwise, they would really be dead this time. And he, Zhou Hao, would not even have the chance to use the treasure. So that's how it is. It was stolen from home. If this invisible pearl is really that powerful, then we'd be fools not to follow it. A treasure that even such a powerhouse covets, how could it be anything but ordinary? Perhaps the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Who asked that kid to be disrespectful to us? This time we must make him suffer a big loss. A few Zhou clan disciples laughed cruelly, and they decided with a few words. With the bead of concealment, no one would be able to notice their tracking, and they were simply in an invincible position. Alright, there's no time to lose. Let's chase after them immediately. With a paw, Zhou Hao immediately took out a transparent pearl the size of a fist. It seemed to contain a cloud of mist. It was unfathomably deep and seemed to have an unimaginable power. Boom! As soon as Zhou Hao touched the pearl, he rotated his energy arts and sent some true energy into it. Instantly, the pearl began to emanate strange fluctuations of power. The ripples enveloped Zhou Hao and the others, causing light to distort. It was as though they had become one with their surroundings. Even their auras had disappeared completely. It was as though they had completely disappeared from the world. Amazing, truly amazing. It really is an invisible pearl. I didn't expect it to have such unbelievable power. As expected of a treasured artifact. It's priceless. Such a treasure is priceless. With this magic treasure, no matter how big the world is, we can go anywhere. The Zhou clan disciples used various methods to prove that they were indeed in an invisible state. Instantly, they laughed loudly and were overjoyed. Their morale immediately swelled. Let's go. Zhou Hao gave the order. So. They immediately set off, chasing in the direction that Xiaping had left. Not long after Zhou Hao and the others left, several tens of middle-aged men wearing vests appeared from the forest. All of them had scars on their bodies and looked ferocious. They were like a group of bandits. Damn it, they're really dead. A man with a scar on his face stared at the corpses on the ground. His expression was extremely gloomy. I tried to contact third brother Yi and the others with my communication device, but I couldn't get through for a long time. I knew that something must have happened. I didn't expect that they'd all die. Not a single one is alive. He stared at the corpses on the ground. These people were all his subordinates. These people were also considered a small adventurer group. They specialized in adventuring in the savage forest, killing demonic beasts, picking spiritual herbs, and so on. Occasionally, they would become bandits and kill people for their goods. This was also the norm for warriors adventuring in the savage forest. It was extremely chaotic. In order to obtain wealth, they would do anything. There was never a so-called bottom line. Big Brother Chun Dao. A skinny man stood up and stared at the corpses on the ground. A cold light flashed in his eyes. From the traces of battle here and the wounds on third brother Yi and the others, they were not killed by the demonic beasts here. They were killed by humans. He was very knowledgeable and quickly deduced the cause of death of Yi Lao San and the others from some clues. Damn it. The man with the scar, Chan Dao, clenched his fist. With a bang he punched the ground, immediately creating a terrifying pit. More than 10 cracks also appeared on the ground. Kacha sounds could be heard as he displayed his cultivation of the 7th heaven of martial master. This was already the advanced martial master realm. In the entire cloud realm, he could be considered a small expert. A man in white had a sinister expression as he shouted angrily, "Big brother Chan Dao, third brother Yi and the others are our brothers. Someone killed them. We must avenge them. Yes, third brother Yi and the others cannot die in vain. We must get rid of that group of murderers. If we catch them, we will kill them." The others also nodded, their killing intent boiling. We must definitely avenge them. The man with the scar, Chan Dao, was very calm. But we have to investigate the enemy's strength. We cannot foolishly charge forward and die. If the enemy is weak, we will kill them on the spot. If they are strong, we will temporarily endure and find a chance to poison them or set a trap to plot against them. We cannot fight them head-on. His thoughts flashed as he thought of many evil plans. The others also had endless killing intent in their hearts. They were all bandits and specialized in doing lowly work. They had long been familiar with schemes and tricks like poisoning and framing people. If they wanted to kill someone, they did not need to fight them head-on. Traps and poison were all methods. Let's go and chase after them. The man with the scar waved his hand. Chapter 507. Night Cold Moon Lake. After running for a few hours, Xiaoping finally arrived at Cold Moon Lake. This is Cold Moon Lake? It's so big. Xiaoping looked around and found that although this place was called Cold Moon Lake, it was so big that he couldn't see the end. It stretched for at least thousands of kilometers, similar to some oceans on Earth. The water here isn't simple either. Xiaoping stared at the water of the Cold Moon Lake. Even though he was very far away, he could feel the deep cold air that the water of the Cold Moon Lake exuded. If an ordinary person entered Cold Moon Lake without any preparation, they would be frozen into ice after a few minutes. The cold air would invade their internal organs and kill them. Even a deity couldn't save them. He immediately knew that this was a special paradise. No wonder the Silver Deberorum King of the 72 Caves would choose this place as its cave abode. That's water moon grass. Soon Xiaoping also found a large patch of grass growing at the edge of Cold Moon Lake. It was silver in color and the size of a palm. Under the moonlight, it glowed with a silver light. Wisps of unique spirit medicine aura permeated the surroundings, shocking people's minds. It really is a spirit medicine of heaven and earth. Xiaoping felt the aura in his body stirring. He wanted to devour the water moon grass immediately and take it for himself. Once he consumed the spirit medicine and completely refined it, he would immediately reach the state of harmony between the sun and the moon, water and fire. It would help him break through the bottleneck. Boom! Just as the moon rose into the sky, the entire cold moon pool trembled and a crashing sound rang out. A large amount of water immediately splashed out from the depths of the pool. Silver pythons emerged from the surface of the water, numbering in the tens of thousands. When these snake demons appeared, their demonic aura soared into the sky and covered the earth. It was like thousands of demons had gathered. They were in a neat formation as if they were one like an army. Xiaoping immediately calmed down, suppressing his impulse to go over and pick up the water moon grass. He hid on a huge rock nearby, and at the same time, he hid his Zhan Yuan in the golden crow cells, merging with the surrounding aura. This was to prevent his tracks from being discovered by these snake demons, which would definitely lead to a disaster. At this moment, these snake demons appeared on the water surface. They raised their heads and kept swallowing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Crash, with their bodies as the center, a terrifying vortex seemed to have formed, and a large amount of spiritual qi gathered in this place. But that was not all. At this moment the moon was high up in the sky. At this moment silver splendor actually fell down from the sky. Such splendor dyed the entire lake silver white. It was incomparably spectacular. After the snake devil absorbed the moonlight, they looked quite satisfied and their auras became stronger bit by bit. Devil energy circulated within their bodies and devil chi shot into the sky. There were also some snake demons who seemed to have broken through the limits of their cultivation and obtained an astonishing evolution. They even shed off their own snake skins, and their bodies glowed with fluorescent light. Furthermore, the serpent demons didn't just appear in random locations. Rather, they had their own unique locations which had long since been fixed in place. Their demonic chi was connected to each other. If someone were to look down from above, they would immediately be able to see that these snake demons had formed a cultivation array, and their auras were outlining the lines of the array. It was precisely because of this formation that it could gather a large amount of heaven and earth spiritual chi, and absorb the essence of the sun and moon. It could greatly increase the cultivation speed of the snake demons, bringing about endless benefits. This is the scene of the monsters swallowing the essence of the moon and cultivating. Xiaping hit on a huge rock next to him and also saw the scene of these snake demons cultivating. He was extremely shocked. He also deeply understood that these monsters were not inferior to human beings. In fact, they have cultivated for a longer time, far longer than the humans on Yanhuang Star. They should not be underestimated. Soon 2 or 3 hours passed. The moon seemed to have left the center and was about to fall, and the essence of the moon didn't seem to be as abundant as before. One by one, the snake demons also finished their cultivation and dived into the bottom of the lake. Did they all go back? Xiaping's eyes flickered. He knew that there must be a cave for these snake demons in the depths of the cold moon lake. After their usual cultivation, they would return to their cave residence to rest. When all these snake demons left, he suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Now he finally had a chance to get these water moon grass. If he could obtain the water moon grass without disturbing these snake demons, it would also be a good thing. This way, he could cultivate in peace and strengthen his cultivation. No, there are still snake demon guards. When Xiaping got a little closer, he suddenly found that there was a team of snake demon guards in the place where the water moon grass grew. There were 15 or 16 of them, and they were at least in the martial master realm. The strongest was at the 6th heavenly layer of martial master, and the weakest was at the 3rd heavenly layer of martial master. They exuded a tyrannical aura. These snake demons patrolled nearby with cold eyes. They seemed to be preventing enemies from invading and picking the water moon grass. However, this was also a matter of course. The water moon grass was not only of great benefit to human martial artists but also to the monster race. Elixir like this was an important resource that was guarded. No one was allowed to come and pick it secretly and take it for themselves. It was estimated that there were many human martial artists like Xiaping who wanted to pick the water moon grass. Over time, they also established a perfect guard mechanism to resist intruders. However, since there were snake demon guards, there were fewer and fewer humans who dared to come to the cold moon lake to steal the water moon grass because the death of a large number of human martial artists was also a kind of deterrence. In order to obtain the water moon grass, they had to pay with their lives. Many humans would weigh the pros and cons and not dare to come. It's really boring. It's already been a few months and there are actually no humans coming to die. I don't know how many we have killed. How would those stupid humans still dare to come? We still went a little overboard. We should show the enemy that we are weak and lure these human martial artists to come. That way, we will have an endless supply of humans to eat. Without those human martial artists coming to die, our quality of life has also declined recently. Everything we eat is not delicious. Isn't that so? If not for the peace agreement between the human race and the monster race, I would still want to sneak into the human cities to kill some and bring back to the cave abode as food. I still miss the war between the monster race and the human race. At that time there were countless human corpses and we could eat as much as we wanted. But we also died a lot. My grandfather and grandmother died in the hands of those human martial artists and were almost wiped out. This is a blood feud. Therefore, we will kill whoever they come. The so-called peace agreement is just a piece of waste paper. Actually, when we have the time, we can also sneak into the human cities and capture some humans. My cousin did this before. He ate many human women without anyone knowing. This is good. This idea is not bad. Next time we have a holiday, we will try it. Chapter 508. They actually eat humans while chatting. They really are monsters. They should be killed. A cold light flashed in Xiaping's eyes. A terrifying killing intent brewed in his heart like a volcano that was about to erupt. Although Xiaping couldn't understand what they were saying, he had a communicator with an intelligent translation software on it. So long as he received their words, it could immediately translate them into human language. Therefore, he didn't have any problems with the language barrier. He could completely understand what they were saying. It was said that once one reached the King realm, they didn't need the help of translation software at all. They could communicate with each other through spiritual energy. This was the communication method of higher life forms. But the more he understood what they were saying, the more he wanted to kill them. It was undeniable that there were peace-loving races and monsters that were friendly to humans. But most of them were enemies. They were ferocious and fed on humans. Such monsters should be killed. No matter what, I must get the water moon grass. Xiaping clenched his fists. He had to get the water moon grass. It was an indispensable cultivation resource for his cultivation. Even if he had to use despicable methods, he would get the water moon grass. Not to mention that these snake demons were harmful to humans. They were basically mortal enemies, so he didn't care about anything. If I kill these snake demon guards, I'll immediately attract a large number of snake demon enemies. At that time, I'll definitely be surrounded. Although Xiaping's killing intent was boiling, he was still very cautious, because he saw how spectacular the scene of these snake demons cultivating was. Just a corner of the cold moon pond had tens of thousands of snake demons. They were so dense that they blotted out the sky. How many snake demons were there in the cold moon pond? Was it in the millions? Tens of millions? Hundreds of millions? Just imagining this number was enough to make one shudder. Killing one was equivalent to poking a beehive. The cold moon pond was a kingdom of snake demons. If I want to get the water moon grass, I must kill these 16 snake demon guards at the same time. They won't even be able to cry for help. Xiaping's eyes revealed a cold light as killing intent brewed in his heart. With a swoosh, he immediately took out a treasured weapon, Hell's Spear. If he wanted to kill these monsters in an instant, they wouldn't even have the chance to cry out for help. With his current strength, he couldn't do it. However, if he could borrow the power of a treasure, then it would be twice the result with half the effort. Rumble, Xiaping instilled the true essence in his body into the Hell Spear. After advancing to the fourth layer of the Martial Master realm, his true essence was even more massive, and he could operate this treasure with even more power. In that moment, the Hell Spear trembled, and the aura of hell rippled out, twisting and distorting the magnetic field around it. The inscriptions on the surface of the spear flickered. To kill these demons, I have to assassinate them. The head-piercing 7 arrows technique is a supreme hidden weapon technique. Its grade is almost impossible to measure, and it might even be above the king grade. Xiaping was immersed in the circulation of the third level of the head-piercing 7 arrows technique. Even though he had been enlightened by the system, he still felt that there were many mysteries of this technique that he had yet to fully understand. Every time he circulated it, he felt that he had a deeper understanding of this technique. The Extreme Tao stage. Completely fuse one's psyche into the prized artifact, reaching the state of being one with the artifact. Using one's energy to control the artifact. Xiaping sent his psyche into the depths of the Hell Spear. He seemed to feel the power of this treasure at a deeper level. It was as if the shadows of demons and gods from hell appeared in the depths of his mind, and the aura of hell and his body merged as one. In that instant, Xiaping felt that his heart was as calm as a mirror. There were no fluctuations at all, and even his emotions disappeared in that instant. He didn't even need to circulate the true essence in his body. It was completely integrated with his psyche and the Hell Spear, and his essence, chi, and soul became one. He stabbed out with the spear without making a sound. Head-piercing 7 arrows technique, third form, sky full of flower rain. With a boom, the Hell Spear transformed into energy in that instant. 16 black energy spears appeared, and like raindrops they stabbed out into the distance. This spear was silent, and there was no sound at all. Even the air didn't tremble. It was as if the spear had completely merged with heaven and earth, as if it had escaped into a different dimension. Even a King Realm expert who saw this attack would be shocked. They couldn't describe how terrifying and fast this attack was. Dong! In the next second, Xiaping's hell spear instantly pierced through the bodies of the 16 snake demons standing at the edge of the lake. Still there was no sound. Even the 16 martial master realm snake demons didn't know what was going on. They were just discussing how to sneak into the human world and hunt human women for food. When the spear pierced through their bodies, a dark energy of hell exploded, instantly blowing their bodies into powder. They collapsed and dissipated between heaven and earth. Until now they didn't even know how they died. Then the energy of the 16 spears dissipated, and they gathered together again. With a dong, the hell spear was nailed to the ground, easily piercing a hole. If it wasn't for the large pile of black dust and the 16 demon cores on the ground, probably no one would believe that there were 16 martial master realm snake demons standing there just now. With just one attack, he killed 16 martial master realm snake demons. They couldn't even send out a signal for help. If this matter were to spread, it would probably scare a lot of people to death. Nailhead 7 Arrows Technique. This is the real Nailhead 7 Arrows Technique. This is a supreme assassination technique. It's said to be able to curse and kill the enemy through countless times. Xiaping's eyes lit up. He felt that after advancing to the martial master realm, he finally started to understand the mysteries of the Nailhead 7 Arrows technique, and mastered the essence of this peerless hidden weapon technique. The spear just now completely destroyed the vitality of the 16 snake demons. Just by brushing their skin, the terrifying wave that erupted was enough to shatter the internal organs of the snake demons. At the same time, such a spear also stimulated the power in the depths of the hell spear. It made Xiaping feel like he was the god of hell who had mastered the power of judgment. He was invincible. Alright, I have to quickly pick these water moon grass. Otherwise, when the next batch of snake demon guards comes, it will definitely cause a lot of trouble. Xiaping had no time to lament the power of this technique. After all, the snake demon guards would change shifts every once in a while. There would be demons coming over to inspect them. It was extremely strict. Even if something happened, it would be completely controlled by the snake demons. He immediately went forward and picked up all the water moon grass. At the same time, he picked up the hell spear. In just a few minutes, Xiaping quickly picked up the water moon grass and quickly left the cold moon pool. Chapter 509. What the hell? What the hell? One of the Zhou clan's disciples could not help but scream. He killed 16 martial master realm snake demons with just one strike. He did it so quietly that they could not even scream. What kind of combat power is this? That's a martial mentor realm snake demon. A martial mentor realm snake demon. Some of them are even at the 6th heaven of martial master. They are not Tom, Dick, or Harry. He was driven mad. He simply could not believe what he had just seen because it was just too frightening. With just a single thrust of the spear, 16 martial master realm snake demons died. Their bodies turned into dust and they did not even have the chance to scream. They would not be surprised if this kid was a martial master. However, he was at most a 4th heaven of martial master. How could he do such a terrifying thing? Shut up. Zhou Hao scolded in a low voice. Why are you shouting so loudly? Are you trying to attract the snake demons here? You may have a death wish, but we don't. I'm sorry. The Zhou clan's disciple immediately lowered his head in fear. If the snake demons here were alarmed, they would not be able to survive no matter how many lives they had. But this is too shocking. It is not something that an ordinary martial master can do. The Zhou clan's disciple could not help but say. He was extremely shocked. Of course, ordinary people can't do it. Zhou Hao clenched his fists. But do you know what that black spear in that kid's hand is? It is a treasure, and an offensive treasure at that. It is priceless. Even kings do not have many of them. His eyes were burning with passion. He could not wait to take the hell spear for himself. A treasure. Hearing this, the Zhou clan's disciples came to a sudden realization. If that was the case, then it could be explained. Just the treasure, the invisible pearl, had endless uses. It could form an energy shield, distort the magnetic field, and hide their aura and sound. It allowed them to enter all kinds of treasures without being discovered by strong enemies. If the kid took out a treasure like the invisible pearl, Then it would have all kinds of incredible abilities. They could completely understand it. Do you know? With a treasure you can increase your combat power by several times, or even dozens of times. Zhou Hao stared at Xiaping's departing back and said, "This kind of treasure is priceless. Even king-level warriors would try to snatch it. This is a treasure that could start a small-scale war." No wonder this brat dared to appear alone in savage forests with his strength. He did not need any companions. With this treasure tool, of course, he would be able to move unhindered in the world. He would be able to enter all kinds of danger zones and obtain fortuitous encounters. His eyes were green with jealousy. If he possessed this artifact as well, then he would be able to enter all sorts of dangerous places and seize all sorts of spirit herbs and treasures to swiftly improve his cultivation and advance into the Grandmaster realm or even the King realm. In that case, his status in the Zhou family would definitely increase greatly. It might even be possible for him to become the future Zhou family patriarch. If we can snatch this prized artifact, we'll be rich. The eyes of a Zhou clan disciple reddened. Impossible. Didn't you see how brutal that kid was just now? Another Zhou clan disciple retorted. More than 10 martial master realm snake demons were killed by him in an instant. If we were to go up, we would probably be a piece of cake. He felt that trying to snatch the treasure from that kid was simply snatching food from the jaws of a tiger. No, it might not be impossible. Zhou Hao laughed coldly. My first uncle, Zhou Bin, happens to be adventuring in Savage Forest. He is a true grandmaster with boundless strength. There are even many experts following him. There are as many experts as there are clouds in the sky. If I inform my first uncle to come, that kid will definitely die a tragic death. Zhou Bin. Hearing this, many of the Zhou clan disciples were stunned. This person was an elder of the Zhou family and held a high position. However, the eyes of a Zhou clan disciple flickered. But if we inform Elder Zhou Bin, that treasure tool will not be ours. Don't be too worried. Zhou Hao waved his hand. Even if that treasure tool does not belong to us, it is still a great contribution to the Zhou family for us to be able to obtain it. Such a contribution cannot be ignored. Most importantly, without first uncle's help, we would not be able to deal with that kid. He had thought this matter through very clearly. As the saying goes, one must be willing to give up. Without giving up, there would be no gain. But that kid has already obtained a large amount of water moon grass from Cold Moon Lake. I'm just afraid that he will take this opportunity to leave Savage Forest. At that time we will have wasted all our efforts, a Zhou clan disciple said in a low voice. After all, it would still take some time to inform Elder Zhou Bin to come. It's fine. I have already thought of a complete countermeasure. Zhou Hao's eyes revealed a hint of ruthlessness. When we were tracking that kid just now, we also discovered that group of bandits. These bandits seem to be following that kid just like us. They are probably trying to take revenge. The other Zhou clan disciples also thought of this matter. Fortunately, they had all used invisible pearls to hide their traces. Otherwise, they would definitely be discovered by that group of bandits. At that time, they would most likely be doomed. If we leak this kid's whereabouts to those bandits, what do you think will happen to that kid? Zhou Hao revealed his plan. Even if he is not killed by those bandits, he will be heavily injured, a Zhou clan disciple said with certainty. Another Zhou clan disciple's eyes lit up. Good plan. What a good plan. Even if we can't kill that kid, we can use the bandits to hinder his movements and prevent him from leaving Savage Forest so quickly. As long as we can stall until the elders arrive, he won't be able to escape. He understood Zhou Hao's sinister plan. But isn't this a little wrong? After all, that young man saved our lives. Doing this seems to be biting the hand that fed us. A Zhou clan disciple hesitated for a moment. Bullshit. Zhou Hao shouted angrily. Every man for himself. For the sake of our Zhou clan's rise, what's a small favor worth? Furthermore, that kid is able to contribute to our Zhou clan's rise. It's his honor. At most, after we kill him, we'll give his family some money to settle them down and ensure that they won't have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of their lives. He had a shameless grin on his face. The other Zhou clan disciples were all silent. With that young man's talent, he would definitely be able to stand out in the future. It would be a piece of cake for him to advance to Grandmaster. Even without the Zhou clan, his family would probably not have to worry about food and clothing. For Zhou Hao to say these words, he was really lying through his teeth. However, they were all members of the Zhou clan, so naturally, they would not say anything that was detrimental to the Zhou clan. In fact, they even felt that this plan was very feasible and there was nothing wrong with it. Alright, we'll immediately inform eldest uncle Zhou Bin. We'll also inform those bandits to hinder that kid's movements, Zhou Hao ordered. Yes. Chapter 5:10. Ding Dong. Just as Xia Ping was running through the forest and was about to return to his radiant god, he suddenly heard the system's voice. Someone is trying to kill the host. Host, please be alert. What? Xia Ping stopped in his tracks. Immediately, a stream of information flowed into his mind. Soon he saw Zhou Hao and the others discussing how to kill him. The content of their conversation was also clearly exposed. Zhou Hao. After reading the content, Xia Ping clenched his fists. His eyes flashed coldly and his killing intent boiled. Although he did not have a good impression of Zhou Hao, he did not expect the kid to be so ruthless. He actually wanted to kill him and steal his treasures. He had clearly saved the kid's life. Not only was he not grateful, but he also wanted to kill him. If this kind of person was not cruel and unscrupulous, then what was? He finally understood what it meant to be a wolf in the mountains. He wants to ask his uncle to surround and kill me? Or is he a grandmaster? Xia Ping clenched his fists. Good timing. So what if he is a grandmaster? Since he is here, I can kill them all at once. He had finished remodeling his personal flying ship, the Radiant God, and its power had increased by leaps and bounds. Even if a group of grandmasters came, he would be able to kill them all without leaving a single one of them alive. If these people wanted to find trouble with him and kill him to steal his treasures, then he would just as well bury this group of people here. He had saved Zhou Hao and the others, but they did not know how to cherish it. Now they wanted to die. He would grant them their wish. If they did not kill, they would not know how powerful he was. They would not know what respect was. But I did not send Zhou Hao and the others just now. If not for the system, I would not have been able to detect them. That invisible pearl is really powerful. Xia Ping's eyes flashed. He was secretly shocked. His mental strength was very sensitive. Even if a grandmaster came, he would be able to detect them. However, after Zhou Hao and the others used the invisible pearl, he did not sense them at all. This was a little scary. This was because Zhou Hao and the others did not have any killing intent. Therefore, the bloodline in his body did not react to danger. However, despite this being the case, it was still enough to prove how formidable the invisible bead was. It was definitely a heaven and earth unique treasure. Its value extraordinary. Looks like that invisible bead is quite a good treasure. If I can snatch it from Zhou Hao, it will definitely be of great help to me. It will be able to help me out of all sorts of dangerous situations. Xia Ping immediately thought of the various uses of the invisibility pearl. For example, in the Cold Moon Lake, if I had the invisibility pearl on me, I might be able to borrow the power of the invisibility pearl to enter deep into the Cold Moon Lake, enter the Silver Flood Dragon King's lair, and obtain a large number of treasures. He immediately came up with all sorts of plans to use the invisible bead. If he could obtain this invisible pearl, the benefits would be boundless. I'll set up a trap first. Then I'll slaughter Zhou Hao's group. Xia Ping clenched his fists and immediately thought of all kinds of countermeasures. Since the other party was heartless, then he couldn't be blamed for being unjust. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this moment, figures rushed out from the depths of the forest, each of them emitting a biting cold killing intent. They charged in all directions, surrounding Xia Ping in an instant. The leader was a knife-scarred man. He was the bandit Chan Dao, a 7th layer martial master. 20 to 30 other people also appeared, all of whom were at least at the first heaven of the martial master realm. When they appeared in this place, they looked ferocious like a pack of hungry wolves. Are these the bandits' accomplices that Zhou Hao and the others mentioned? They came very quickly. Xia Ping stood on the spot, looking at the group of bandits with a calm expression. You're Xia Ping. The knife-scarred man Chan Dao stared at Xia Ping and asked in an unfriendly tone. The other bandits also stared at Xia Ping, glaring like tigers watching their prey. Xiaoping nodded. Yes, why are you looking for me? What's the matter? Chen Dao sneered. Let me ask you something. Did you kill my companions Yi Laosan and the others this afternoon? Someone gave us evidence. Don't play dumb here. He asked straightforwardly. Previously, they were tracking the whereabouts of the murderer. Suddenly, someone threw a piece of tree bark over. On it was the murderer who killed Yi Laosan as well as the location of the murderer. Although they were skeptical when they saw the news, they had no clues at the moment. They could only chase after the murderer. Now that they saw it, they indeed found Xiaoping. That's right, I did kill them. Xiaoping nodded and admitted. But they are bandits. Bullshit. Hearing this, one of the bandits immediately flew into a rage. Did we ask you who they were? If I ask you if you killed them, just answer me honestly. You're still finding so many excuses here. You're simply tired of living. Many bandits glared at Xiaoping, their hearts filled with killing intent. They didn't expect this kid to actually dare to admit that he killed Yi Laosan and the others. He was too arrogant. Originally, they thought that Xiaoping would deny it, and they would also find a lot of evidence to expose this kid's lies. But now all their actions were in vain. That kid directly admitted that he killed Yi Laosan and the others. It was too straightforward. Although they were experienced and knowledgeable, they had never seen such an honest murderer. Don't provoke me, or you won't be able to live either. Xiaoping warned. Fuck. A strong man who was 2 meters tall stood out and clenched his fists. What's the point of talking to him? Since he admitted that he killed Yi Laosan, then kill him, draw his blood, and kill him as a sacrifice to Yi Laosan and the others. As soon as he finished speaking, he took a step forward and punched with a fist that was as big as a clay pot. It tore through the air and attacked. It was like the roar of a ferocious tiger, and its aura was terrifying. Even a huge rock would be smashed into pieces by this punch. Bang! At this moment, Xiaoping stretched out his left palm and gently stretched out his palm. Immediately, the fist smashed onto the left palm. Suddenly, the terrifying fist force seemed to have fallen into a swamp. All the fierce force was completely removed, leaving nothing behind. His face turned red, but he still couldn't break through Xiaoping's defense. Xiaoping punched out with his right fist. It was as fast as lightning, and the air vibrated. It was like a shark rushing out of the water. This was an extremely fast and deadly punch. Dong! It was just a punch, but the fist force condensed into a substance and collided with the strong man's body. Immediately there was a loud bang, like the sound of a temple bell. At this moment, his entire chest was blasted open by the fist force, leaving a bloody hole. The strong man's eyes widened and he stared at Xiaoping. He didn't expect that a single punch would be able to tear apart the true essence defense on his body, and instantly burst his heart. Chapter 511. What? Seeing the burly man fall to the ground and die miserably on the spot, the group of bandits widened their eyes. Their eyes were frighteningly red, and they felt their entire bodies tremble with anger. Previously, this brat had killed third brother Yi and the others. Now, he had actually killed one of their companions with a punch in front of them. This was simply too arrogant. Which one of you is tired of living? Immediately come over and accept your death. Xiaoping glanced sideways and said to the group of bandits, "You're courting death." The scarred man Chen Dao roared. With a clang, he pulled out the golden saber on his body. He was extremely angry, and his aura fluctuated, displaying the seventh heaven of the martial master realm. He gripped the hilt of the saber tightly and slashed out. King-grade martial technique, Vajra Demon Subduing Saber. This was a supreme saber technique created by an unparalleled expert. Once it was used, it was like a glaring Vajra, with the power to subdue demons and slay demons. It was always successful. It could be said that this saber technique had slain countless demons and was extremely ferocious. And Chen Dao had also used this saber technique to survive in the savage forest like a fish in water. With a slash, a terrifying saber chi erupted, sweeping away groups of demons and tearing the earth apart. The surrounding bandits also seemed to see a glaring Vajra appear in the world at this moment. His entire body emitted a golden light, solemn and dignified, and the entire earth was shaken by the power of this Vajra. When his saber slashed out, the golden light seemed to cut through the sky, erupting with a shocking saber chi, as if it could cut the world in half. Kunpeng steps. Xiaping's figure flashed, and like a Kunpeng, he instantly moved dozens of meters away from his original spot. With a boom, the terrifying saber chi slashed down, immediately creating a crack that was hundreds of meters long on the ground. Dozens of trees in the distance crazily collapsed, rumbling loudly. Even the huge boulders were smashed into pieces by the saber chi. Dense cracks appeared on the ground like a spider web. It looked very terrifying. Your footwork is not bad, but how long can you hide for? Chen Dao roared. He did not show mercy. He gripped his long saber tightly and slashed again. The power of this slash was even more terrifying than before. Dense saber chi appeared in the air. The saber chi gathered together, forming a terrifying golden saber. At that moment, the ground trembled. The power of this saber was many times more terrifying than the previous one. The surrounding bandits were scared half to death. They fled in all directions, afraid that they would be affected by the saber chi and die in vain. Die! Xiaping's eyes flashed. With a whoosh, taking advantage of this gap, he instantly took out the golden light mirror. He poured all of his true essence into it, immediately causing the entire mirror to emit a bright light. A wave of golden flame energy brewed in the mirror, and the mirror immediately shone towards Chen Dao. It was like a sun bursting with dazzling light. Xiao! In the blink of an eye, the golden flaming light shot out at a speed 3 times faster than the speed of sound. An ear-piercing sound rang out in the surroundings that could even shatter eardrums. With a bang, the two forces collided crazily. It was like two mammoths colliding with each other, causing a loud explosion. The golden saber chi in front of him was immediately shattered by this ray of light, shattering inch by inch and turning into dust. When this power charged over, the air condensed into substance, stirring up circles of ripples. The ripples swept out in all directions, uprooting trees and sending them flying. Boulders were smashed into pieces, and even soil was sent flying. A kilometer of land was plowed flat. Damn it! This is a treasured weapon. Why does a brat like you have a treasured weapon? Chen Dao's eyes were filled with fear. He suddenly realized that although this brat only had the true essence of a fourth heaven martial master, he had taken out a treasured weapon with infinite power. He was very clear about the power of a treasured weapon. It was a weapon that even kings desired. If an ordinary martial artist obtained a treasured weapon, it would be a piece of cake for them to challenge those of a higher level. It was enough to increase their combat power by tens of times. Chen Dao's face turned pale. At the same time, he realized that his saber technique could not withstand such power at all. It was as weak as a baby. This was a terrifying power that was above him. This is against the rules. This is against the rules. Where did this guy get a treasured weapon? Who is his dad? No wonder third brother Yi and a dozen others were killed by this brat. It turns out that he has a treasured weapon on him. It's over. This time we've kicked an iron plate. Is there anyone who can do something about this? A martial master also has a treasured weapon. This is too much. Is there any fairness? The other bandits also saw the treasured weapon that Xiaping had taken out. All of them were so scared that their faces turned green. They had been roaming the Jianghu for a long time and had seen many things. Naturally, they knew what a treasured weapon was. It could be said that this kind of weapon could increase a martial artist's strength more than any other high-tech weapon. Having a treasured weapon would give a cultivator an overwhelming advantage over those of the same level. This was equivalent to a duel between two people. One was holding a gun while the other was bare-handed. How was this a duel? It was clearly a massacre. Too strong. Although Chen Dao had heard of the various legends of treasured weapons, he had never felt the true power of a treasured weapon. Now that he saw Xiaping take it out, he immediately knew that this was not a weapon that he could defend against. He tried to dodge, but it was too late. The power of the golden mirror exceeded the speed of sound by more than 3 times. The distance between him and Xiaping was only a dozen meters. At such a fast speed, at such a short distance, how could he dodge? Even with the reaction speed of a martial master, he could not react at all. With a Puchi, he could not react at all. His eyes were still in a state of shock. His chest was immediately pierced by the golden light. A bloody hole appeared in his chest and blood flowed down. The wound on his chest was even charred, and it smelled like he had been cooked. This. Chun Dao covered his bleeding chest. An intense pain spread throughout his body. He felt an unprecedented pain, and his whole body was trembling. He did not expect that in just one move, his life would be ended by his opponent. Xiaoping took a step forward and used the Kuanpeng steps. A pair of wings grew on his back, and his feet stepped on the air like a Kuanpeng. In an instant, he appeared in front of Chun Dao. With a bang he slapped out with his palm, causing the air to tremble for hundreds of times. Buzzing sounds could be heard as his palm slammed into Chun Dao's head. Ah! Chun Dao immediately let out a shrill scream. His entire head was smashed into pieces like a watermelon. His brain juice fell in all directions. Then his entire body smashed into the ground, creating a huge crater and causing dust to fly everywhere. Chapter 5:12. Boss. Seeing Chun Dao's tragic death, many of the bandits cried out. Their eyes were wide open and their bodies were trembling. They could not believe that Chun Dao had died just like that. One had to know that Chun Dao was an expert at the 7th level of the martial master realm. In a place like the Savage Forest, even though he had encountered many powerful monsters, he was still able to survive until now. However, they did not expect that just by encountering a young man, their boss would be killed. Kill him. Avenge our boss. Damned bastard. I will kill you and tear you to pieces. The group of bandits were furious. They could not restrain their anger. More than a dozen of their companions had been killed, and now they had to watch helplessly as their boss died in front of them. How could they tolerate such a thing? If they did not kill this brat, they would not be able to swallow the anger in their hearts. Whoosh! 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 20 to 30 martial master realm bandits attacked in an instant. They moved in all directions like hungry wolves, emitting a terrifying aura and bursting out of their bodies. Some held swords, some held sabers, some held long spears, and some were barehanded. Almost all kinds of weapons were present. They displayed their unique skills and attacked Xiaoping. Streams of terrifying energy rolled over, converging into a torrent that covered the sky and covered the earth. Even if their boss Chun Dao was here, he would be killed in an instant. Good. Xiaoping's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. His mental strength seeped into the depths of the golden light mirror. At this moment, he seemed to understand some of the mysteries of the golden light mirror. With a boom, the entire golden light mirror transformed into a ball of golden light. In the dark night, a dazzling light burst out. Golden light mirror. Death light net. At this moment, Xiaoping threw the mirror out. It suddenly turned into a total of 36 energy mirrors. They fell from the sky and instantly spread out in an area with a radius of 1 kilometer. These energy mirrors did not fall randomly, but were distributed in a regular pattern. In an instant, they surrounded the area. Rumble. Immediately, these energy mirrors burst out rays of golden light. They shone on each other and refracted in mid-air, forming a huge light channel. If someone were to look down into the sky, they would definitely be extremely shocked. This was because the golden light actually formed a huge 6-light formation, completely enveloping the area. Damn it, what is this? It's over. Hurry up and hide. We can't touch that golden light. Rush out. Rush out of this area immediately. Otherwise, we'll definitely die. The bandits all felt a fatal killing intent. They felt as if they had fallen into a fatal trap when they were surrounded by the golden light. It was as if they had entered the mouth of some ancient beast. Although they were cold-blooded and merciless, it was undeniable that they were battle-hardened warriors with rich combat experience. They immediately knew that their current situation was extremely dangerous. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Many of the bandits were not in the mood to deal with Xiaoping. All of them quickly fled, using the fastest speed they could muster in their lives, hoping to escape this murderous area. You still want to escape? It's too late. A cold light flashed in Xiaoping's eyes. He had spent so much effort and even used the golden light mirror in order to kill these bandits. How could he let these bandits escape now? The true yuan in his body revolved, the air vibrated, and his spiritual energy turned into 36 thin lines. An obscure and mysterious fluctuation came from the void, resonating with heaven and earth. He had complete control of these energy mirrors. Strangle! With a boom, rays of condensed golden light burst out, tearing through the air like a giant web of death. They instantly surrounded the bandits. The bandits tried to dodge, but how could this be possible? The entire area was surrounded by the 36 golden light mirrors. Each golden light mirror burst out terrifying energy rays, refracting each other. It was like a human meat grinder. There was no space for them to escape. Oh! In just a second, the bandits let out shrill screams. They could not escape more than a few steps before their bodies were immediately pierced by rays of golden light. It was as if they had been beaten out of a beehive. Blood flowed everywhere. Some people's bodies were torn into countless pieces by the golden light, and they fell to the ground dead. When the golden light disappeared and the area returned to darkness, all the bandits in the area had been killed. Not a single one was left alive. Completely annihilated. With a swoosh, Xiaping grabbed out with his hand and the 36 energy mirrors returned to their original state. They quickly fused into a single golden mirror. The inscriptions on the frame flashed, emitting a mysterious aura. What a great killing weapon! No wonder it is a treasure that even kings covet. Xiaping was very satisfied with the effect of the golden light mirror. He did not need to waste too much time to annihilate this group of bandits. If he were to fight with his bare hands, even if he could defeat these bandits, some of them would still escape and some would slip through the net. But with the golden light mirror, its power was several times stronger. In an instant, this group of bandits was completely annihilated. Boom! Then Xiaping slapped out with his hand. Dark red flames burst out, covering the corpses. In a few breaths, these corpses were burned to ashes. If it were not for the traces of destruction in the forest, no one would have known that these bandits had appeared here. There are quite a lot of treasures. Xiaping also looked at the treasures left behind by these bandits. There were many precious spiritual herbs and pills for cultivation. He even found over 1,000 energy stones. It was a great harvest. He also took all these items and kept them in his storage pouch. Zhou Hao and the others are here too? Let's wait for them to gather first. For now I'll spare their lives. Xiaping clenched his fists. Through the system, he could monitor the whereabouts of Zhou Hao and the others. When he killed all the bandits and destroyed the corpses, they would have arrived at this place. They probably did not see him using the golden light mirror. Otherwise, in order to prevent the news from leaking, he would have to kill Zhou Hao and the others now. But for now, he could spare their lives and wait for Zhou Hao's helpers to gather first. Swoosh! Xiaping pretended not to notice the whereabouts of Zhou Hao and the others. After collecting all the treasures in this place, he used the Kuanpeng steps and left. He wanted to find a safe cave nearby and rest for the night. Chapter 5:13. You must be joking. A Zhou clan disciple looked at the traces of destruction in the forest and was dumbfounded. Were those bandits all killed by that kid alone? Not a single one of them survived? That's impossible. Another Zhou clan disciple retorted, do you know how terrifying those bandits are? Their boss is a 7th-tier martial master. Even the weakest of their lackeys is a 1st-tier martial master. Most of them are 5th-tier martial masters. That kind of strength is enough to fight against a small army and even dodge missiles. Even if that kid has a treasured weapon on him, it's impossible for him to kill so many people single-handedly and not let a single one of those bandits escape. He did not believe that Xiaping could do such a thing. The other Zhou clan disciples could not help but nod. They also felt that this matter was too ridiculous. If those bandits aren't dead, where are they now? Why can't I see a single one of them? Don't tell me they have wings and can fly away? The man asked. This. The group of people immediately fell silent. They indeed could not explain this. After all, if there were really a few of those bandits alive, there should have been some movement. At the very least, there should have been traces of them escaping. However, after looking around, they could not find any traces of the bandits escaping. Therefore, the result was very obvious. Those bandits had all been killed by that kid. Not a single one of them had escaped. Damn it! If we hadn't been slightly delayed in order to inform the clan elders and explain the situation, we would have been able to see what that kid did. A Zhou clan disciple gritted his teeth. At this moment, his wariness towards Xiaoping increased by several times. From the bottom of his heart, he felt that this kid was definitely a dangerous person. He was definitely not someone to be trifled with. If not for the clan elders supporting him, he would definitely not dare to deal with such a terrifying monster. There's no need to worry. Zhou Hao laughed coldly. No matter how powerful that kid is, he's only a martial master. How can he defeat a grandmaster? Even if I let him grow wings, he won't be able to do such a thing. Once the clan elders arrive, we'll see how arrogant he can be. He was not worried at all. He was calm and composed. When they heard this, the expressions of the other Zhou clan disciples eased up greatly. Indeed, it wasn't them who were dealing with such a monster, but the clan's elders and grandmasters. Even in the Cloud Realm, the threat of a grandmaster was terrifying. They could tear down buildings with their bare hands and resist missiles. They could fend off an army of 1,000 by themselves. In the face of a grandmaster, even a monster would have to bow his head. In my opinion, the only reason he was able to accomplish such a feat was because of that bejeweled weapon in his possession. Zhou Hao sneered, "That's even better. The stronger he is, the more monstrous he is, the more valuable that artifact will be. When the time comes, we'll be able to earn more credit. As for those dead bandits, who cares? They're cannon fodder anyway." Everyone nodded in agreement. "Let's go." Zhou Hao waved his hand. "Hurry up and follow him. Don't let that kid escape. We need to keep an eye on his every move. If we let that prized treasure slip away, we'll suffer a great loss." "Yes." The group of Zhou clansmen nodded. They quickly advanced and followed Xiaoping. In a cave in Savage Forest, a rock was placed at the entrance of the cave, blocking the entrance. Xiaoping chose this place to temporarily cultivate in seclusion. There were many energy stones on the ground, as well as some water moon grass obtained from the cold moon pool. In the dark cave, the water moon grass emitted a silver light, appearing extremely beautiful like a full moon. The air was also filled with a sweet fragrance. Water moon grass, a spirit herb that absorbs the essence of the moon and grows in an environment rich in water essence qi. It contains purine energy. Xiaoping stared at the water moon grass. If I can refine this water moon grass, I can comprehend the way of sun and moon coexisting and reach the realm of merging water and fire. This water moon grass is a treasure for those who cultivate fire attribute techniques. It has endless benefits. If it was an ordinary martial artist, they would need to take the water moon grass back to school and let an alchemist purify it and refine it into a pill. Only then could they consume it. In truth, the so-called pills were actually all sorts of spirit herbs that were incinerated using a pill furnace. The impurities would be purified and the medicinal potency would be purified. Under high temperatures, the medicinal qi would be converted into different types of medicinal qi. These medicinal qi with different medicinal properties would fuse together and undergo a series of chemical reactions. After that, the temperature would cool down and they would solidify into a pill. This was the method of concocting pills. But to Xiaoping, who had already condensed a sun furnace, there was basically no need to go through so much trouble. He would use the sun furnace to incinerate the water moon grass and purify it into pure medicinal qi. The so-called impurities would be incinerated cleanly, leaving no harmful substances behind. After that, he could directly absorb it, saving him a lot of time. In fact, by doing this, he would be able to reduce the consumption of medicinal essence to the greatest extent. Rumble at this instant, Xiaoping circulated the pure yang immortal art and swallowed all the water moon grass into his stomach. The sun furnace in his body instantly blazed with flames. Instantly, the water moon grass was incinerated, transforming into a ball of majestic silver medicinal qi that seeped into Xiaoping's limbs and bones. In fact, it even seeped into every single cell of his. And at this moment he felt a cooling sensation. It was like there was a gentle energy in his body that entered the depths of his dantian, neutralizing the excessive fire qi in his body. A powerful life force instantly erupted forth from Xiaoping's body, causing an inconceivable change. The power of water and fire. The power of the sun and moon. At this instant, an inconceivable balance was formed within Xiaoping's body. This was the balance of yin and yang. A true energy whirlpool also formed in his dantian. Walala! Water and fire fused together. Yin and yang fused together, causing an inconceivable change. Vast amounts of true energy gushed forth, flowing through his meridians and acupoints. If there was someone with penetrative vision, they would discover that there was a black and white aura within Xiaoping's body. The two auras were like flood dragons, intertwining and fusing together, forming the 8 trigrams Tai Chi symbol. Behind him, the faint phantom of a golden crow of hell could be seen. It stood in the air with a single leg, and a black and white wheel appeared below it, exuding an incomparably mysterious aura. The entire mountain seemed to be trembling at this moment. In a radius of 10 kilometers, a strange energy trembled, emitting waves of mysterious fluctuations. Some animals with strong instincts for danger all fled, not daring to linger in this place. Chapter 5:14. The next morning. Xiaoping opened his eyes and took a deep breath. The quintessential essence in his body flowed slowly like a surging river, containing explosive power. Every inch of his muscles was extremely powerful. After a night of cultivation and refining the water moon grass, his quintessential essence had greatly increased. He had connected 3 to 4 meridians and tempered his body, making it even stronger. Thanks to the water moon grass, he had awakened 1 or 2 infernal golden crow cells and converted them into large amounts of life energy, increasing his body's foundation. As expected of the water moon grass, its effects are too good. If I can get more water moon grass and completely refine them, then I can break through to the 5th heaven of martial master in a few days. It might even be possible for me to reach the 6th heaven. Xiaoping clenched his fists and the quintessential essence in his body surged. If he just cultivated by himself and absorbed and refined energy stones, he would probably need at least a year and a half to break through to the 6th heaven of martial master. Although this was already an extremely fast cultivation speed for other cultivators, it was still very slow for him. But to him it was still very slow. He needed to become stronger in order to advance to the next round of geniuses. However, if I want to get a large amount of water moon grass, I'll probably have to go deep into the frost moon lake. There aren't many at the edge. Xiaoping had looked up information on the water moon grass. This kind of spirit grass usually grew in the depths of the frost moon lake, where the water element essence qi was the most abundant. Although it would occasionally appear at the edge of the frost moon lake, it was not worth mentioning compared to the depths of the frost moon lake. However, the depths of the frost moon lake was the lair of the silver Wurm king. There were countless snake demons stationed there. It was simply a tiger's den. If ordinary humans wanted to go in, they would only be sending themselves to death and become food. Even king-level humans would not dare to trespass the frost moon lake. That's right, that treasure pearl can conceal my aura and distort my aura, achieving a state of invisibility. If I can get that pearl, I will definitely be able to easily sneak into the frost moon lake and take the opportunity to obtain a large amount of water moon grass. Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He knew how powerful that pearl was. Even with his mental energy, he would not be able to sense it if the other party was not hostile. If he could get his hands on it, even the silver Wurm king would not be able to sense it if he was careful. In this way, the cold moon pool was practically his own backyard, and he could get as much water moon grass as he wanted. Furthermore, the treasures in this place weren't limited to just the water moon grass. After all, this was one of the 72 caves of the demon race. It was the cave where the silver Wurm king resided. There were countless treasures inside. If he could sneak in and plunder without restraint, he would definitely obtain great benefits. And judging from the time, the Zhou clan should have arrived by now. Let's go out and meet them. Xiaoping stood up and patted the dust off his body. Crackling sounds could be heard, and all the bones in his body emitted thunderous sounds. This was a phenomenon that would only occur when one's body reached a certain level of strength. With a boom, he punched out, and the huge rock blocking the entrance of the cave immediately shattered into pieces. Pieces of rubble fell to the ground, and more than half of the rock was smashed into powder. Immediately, the sunlight from the outside slanted in and illuminated the entire cave. Xiaoping also walked out of the cave and stretched his body. He used his spiritual power to sense the surroundings and immediately sensed that there were many powerful auras hidden in the surroundings. They were all hiding in the depths of the forest, like wild wolves lying in ambush, their killing intent brewing. Come out. Xiaping stood on the ground and said faintly, don't hide here. The auras on your bodies are just like the sun. They can't be hidden at all. Or rather, you don't want to hide at all. He said straightforwardly to the martial artists lying in ambush. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, the trees in the forest shook. It seemed that after hearing these words, 15 or 16 figures immediately appeared from all directions and appeared in front of Xiaping. Although the number of people was not as large as the bandit group last night, each of them was extremely powerful. They were at least at the peak of the martial master realm. Among them, there were 2 middle-aged men who were grand masters. Just by standing there, they were like mountains, exuding an unparalleled aura. The strongest one was wearing a white robe and had a goatee. His cultivation had reached the peak of the Grand Master realm. This kind of strength was not inferior to the city lord of Western Wilderness City, Guodong Hai. Not bad, not bad. The middle-aged man with the goatee clapped his hands and looked at Xiaping with admiration. Although we did not deliberately hide, a young man in the 4th heaven of martial master was able to detect our auras. It is not easy. He's indeed a rare genius. Although he was praising Xiaping, there was no warmth in his tone. His eyes were cold and emotionless. He looked at Xiaping as if he was looking at an ant. It was as if he was saying that no matter how strong Xiaping was in his eyes, he was just a child, not worth mentioning. This was a condescending attitude. However, he also had this qualification because he was a grandmaster. Such a person could blow up a small mountain with one punch. He could single-handedly wipe out 1,000 troops. He could be called a humanoid Gundam. Apart from the king, he could be said to be invincible in the world. There were very few people who could be looked up to by such a person. You guys came here early in the morning. What do you want? Even a grandmaster is here. Do you want to chat with me? Xiaping asked. His expression was very calm. Your cultivation is not bad. And your mentality is not bad. The man with the goatee smiled slightly. You are actually so humble in front of a grandmaster. It is rare, cut the crap. Before he could finish, Xiaping interrupted the man with the goatee. I'm asking you what you are here for. I don't want to chat with you. If you have nothing to do, then scram. I have no time for you. His words were simple and direct. However, the man with the goatee's face suddenly darkened. A trace of anger surged in his heart. Ever since he had become a grandmaster, no one had dared to speak to him in such a tone. However, this kid was so arrogant. He even asked them to scram. He was too rude and too arrogant. However, Xiaping had long known that this group of people was here to kill him and steal his treasures. Facing a group of robbers, how could he be polite? He would be considered to have a good temper if he did not destroy them. Too presumptuous. Before the man with a goatee could speak, a man in black who was at the peak of martial master next to him shouted angrily, Kid, what kind of attitude is this? Who is your master? Where are your parents? Didn't they teach you to maintain a respectful and humble attitude when you meet a grandmaster? You actually told us to scram. You are too arrogant. Believe it or not, I will cripple you. Even if I take you to the federal court, you won't win. Chapter 5:15. Hearing this, Xiaping raised his eyebrows. There was indeed such a rule in the federal law. Once a martial artist became a grandmaster, they would have all sorts of privileges. Ordinary martial artists had to be respectful and humble when they met a grandmaster. They were not allowed to show any disrespect. If they angered a grandmaster and spoke rudely, even if the grandmaster crippled the other party, the federal government would not be able to do anything. They might even stand on the side of the grandmaster and find the person who spoke rudely and put them in jail for 15 days. No one could be released on bail. In this world, grandmasters could not be insulted. Those who insulted them must die. So what do you want? Xiaping asked calmly. The man in black sneered. What we want you to do is simple. I heard that you have a valuable treasure on you. As long as you hand it over, We will spare your worthless life. He revealed the true purpose of these people. Treasure? Are you talking about this hell's spear? With a swoosh, Xia Ping immediately took out the hell's spear from his spatial ring and held it in his hand. The moment the hell's spear appeared, a terrifying aura was generated with Xia Ping as the center. It spread over a radius of 3 kilometers, as if forming a vortex of hell's aura. Even the group of martial artists in front of him could not help but take a few steps back, barely withstanding the terrifying aura of the spear. At this moment the ground seemed to have cracked from the impact. The 2 grandmasters did not retreat. They clasped their hands behind their backs, looking calm and collected. However, their hearts were not calm at all. Waves of shock surged within them because the moment the spear was taken out they actually felt a sense of threat. This treasure was clearly in the hands of a mere martial artist, but it made them feel threatened. From this it could be seen how terrifying this spear was. It was definitely an incredible treasure. Yes, that's right. This is the treasure. The man in black's eyes lit up, revealing a greedy look. Hand it over immediately and we will spare your life. He immediately stepped forward to demand it. The 2 grandmasters were shocked. If it were not for the fact that they had to maintain the demeanor of a grandmaster, they would have attacked immediately and snatched the hell's spear for themselves. The spear in front of them could be said to be priceless. Even if they offered up all their possessions, they would not be able to buy it. How many people are there? To put it simply, where are Zhou Hao and the others? Xia Ping raised his eyebrows and said straightforwardly, "He brought you Zhou family elders here, but he doesn't dare to appear in front of me. Is he afraid to face me?" What? The goateed man and the others were shocked. They did not expect Xia Ping to know that they were from the Zhou family. In other words, the ambush that they thought was flawless had long been seen through? But why was this brat so calm and composed? Could it be that he had set up some sort of trap here? Did they want to kill them in one fell swoop? However, when they used their mental power to sense the surroundings, they found that there was only Xia Ping in this place. There were no other powerful martial artists lying in ambush, so they immediately felt relieved. Even if this kid had seen through the Zhou family's plan, the gap in strength could not be made up for. With a grandmaster here, he could be killed with one slap. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Just then, there was some movement in the forest in the distance. Immediately, 4 to 5 people walked out from the depths of the forest. It was Zhou Hao and the others. When they heard the conversation, they knew that they could not hide it anymore, so they walked over. However, their expressions were very awkward, as if it was difficult to face Xia Ping. Initially, they wanted to let the Zhou family elders kill this kid. Then they would come out. That way they would not have to face Xia Ping. However, they did not expect that their identities would be exposed before the fight even started. Zhou Hao. Xia Ping looked at Zhou Hao and the others. "I saved your lives. If it wasn't for me, you would have been killed by those bandits. None of you would have been able to live until now. But what's going on now? You called your Zhou family elders over, and even a grandmaster is here. They look fierce and murderous and they surrounded me. They even want to rob me of my treasures? Your Zhou family, Zhou Hao, is this how you repay your benefactor?" He asked one question after another. The expressions of the people from the Zhou clan were extremely gloomy and their faces were flushed red. That was indeed the case. The other party had clearly saved their lives, but for the sake of a treasure, they had the intention to kill their benefactor. How cruel and unscrupulous were they? This was not something a human could do. He was a beast. Bullshit. Zhou Hao roared, "You're not trying to save me, Zhou Hao's life. You're obviously harboring evil intentions. You want to use this incident to build a relationship with my Zhou family. You want to ride on my coattails. If that wasn't the case, would you be so kind as to save a complete stranger so easily? I don't believe that you're really that kind. I even suspect that you are in cahoots with those bandits. Both sides are playing the trick of injuring themselves to gain the confidence of others. You want to take this opportunity to show kindness to my Zhou family, and have my Zhou family owe you a favor. You're just a greedy person. We're all about the same. What right do you have to criticize me?" He was distorting the truth. Every word he said was sharp. Originally, Xia Ping had saved their lives. But from Zhou Hao's mouth, it became a trap. He and the bandits were putting on a show, playing the trick of injuring themselves to gain their trust. The purpose of this was to show kindness to the Zhou family and gain their favor. This way Xiaping would have a relationship with the Zhou family. This way Xiaping could gain endless benefits. I see. I didn't expect this kid to be so scheming. Despicable person. What a despicable person. He actually thought of such a trick. Luckily, Big Brother Zhou is extremely talented and smart. He didn't get tricked by this kid. Otherwise we would really have been sold by him. We'd still be counting money for him. To think that my Zhou clan is a king clan, with overwhelming power and influence. Naturally, there is no lack of people who flatter us. This brat has put in a lot of effort, wanting to curry favor with my Zhou clan. Indeed, receiving the Zhou family's appreciation can save him 20 years of hard work. Who wouldn't be tempted? But this method is too despicable. It's despicable. Many of the Zhou family members laughed coldly. They made a countercharge. Not only did they not acknowledge Xiaping's kindness of saving their lives, but they also thought that this was a meticulously planned scheme by Xiaping. Their goal was to curry favor with the Zhou family and gain benefits. If that was the case, then this was not a favor, and they had no need to repay it. Chapter 5:16. Planning this? Fawning on your Zhou family? Xiaping instantly laughed out loud. What are you laughing at? A Zhou family disciple said unhappily, Our Zhou family is a famous sovereign family in the Cloud Realm. Our ancestor is known as the Shangzhou King. Our Zhou family's commercial plates are spread across hundreds of human cities, and our assets are trillions of federal coins. We have many martial masters and grandmasters under our command. We even control a super city, enough to establish a kingdom in the Cloud Realm. Even the federal government has to be polite to our Zhou family. Our Zhou family even has people in the military, government, and business. We are extremely powerful. With our Zhou family's help, an ordinary person will have to struggle less than 10 years. You're just a commoner with no power or influence. Is it strange that you want to curry favor with my Zhou family? He pointed out the reason why Xiaping wanted to fawn on the Zhou family. The other disciples of the Zhou clan were also sneering. That was indeed the case. Although they were just spouting nonsense, they believed that the majority of people would believe them even if they were to say it out loud. In the Cloud Realm, there were very few people who did not want to fawn on the Zhou family, especially the commoners. I have a way to prove that I am not fawning on your Zhou family, Xiaping said lightly. Xiaping said lightly. Interesting. How do you want to prove it? Zhou Hao did not believe that Xiaping could do such a thing because there was no evidence. The bandits had been killed by Xiaping long ago, and there were no witnesses to prove it. What could this powerless poor boy do to them? The bandits had been killed by Xiaping long ago, and there were no witnesses to prove it. They denied it. What could this powerless poor boy do to them? The Zhou family elder, Zhou Bin, and the others looked at Xiaping with interest. They wanted to know how this boy would prove it because he was like a fish on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. Boom! At that moment, Xiaping threw the hell spear in his hand. Immediately, the hell spear emitted a large amount of black aura. Like a black energy, it cut through the sky like a white rainbow piercing the sun. Its speed was unbelievably fast. This speed was beyond the imagination of human warriors. Like a ray of light, the warriors present only saw a dazzling light appear like a meteor. With a squelch, Zhou Hao, who was proud of himself and wanted to ask Xiaping for evidence, was instantly pierced by the hell spear. A large hole appeared in his chest, and blood splattered everywhere. Dong! Immediately, the black energy exploded like a miniature nuclear bomb. It blew Zhou Hao's body into pieces and turned him into a pile of minced meat. Even Zhou Hao's 3 or 4 companions didn't expect such a thing to happen. They were affected by the black energy and were killed by the shock wave. One by one, they fell to the ground and spat out a large amount of blood. Their eyes were opened wide as if they couldn't believe that they were stabbed to death by a single spear from this young man before them. But no matter how unwilling they were, their internal organs had been shattered into pieces. Even if a deity came, he wouldn't be able to save them. Bastard! Seeing this situation, the Zhou family elder Zhou Bin's eyes were bloodshot as he glared at Xiaping. You damned beast, you lowly bastard, you actually dared to kill them? He would never have thought that this would happen. They had 2 grandmasters and more than 10 peak martial masters on their side, while the other party only had 1 person, and he was only a 4th heaven of martial master. They had the upper hand. Under normal circumstances, the other party should have been scared half to death, unable to move, or even kneeling and begging for mercy. They didn't expect that the other party wasn't scared and even dared to kill Zhou Hao and his companions right in front of them, killing them with a single spear strike. It was a clean and efficient kill. Didn't you want evidence just now? This is the evidence. Xia Ping made a grabbing motion and the hell spear immediately turned into a black ray of light and returned to his hand. After completely refining the hell spear, he could control it as he pleased. With a tremble of his mental strength, he could retrieve the hell spear and use it as he pleased. It was said that if the treasured weapon could continue to be refined, it could even be merged into one's own body, becoming one with the weapon. This way one could take it out at any time and no one would be able to snatch it away. Unless the host died. Evidence. Hearing this, the Zhou family's disciples were dumbfounded. Their eyes turned red and they felt a burning rage in their hearts. They instantly understood what Xia Ping meant. Before this, they were all mocking Xia Ping, saying that he wanted to curry favor with the Zhou family and use the Zhou family's power to fight for 20 years less. They said that he was a sycophant who only knew how to play tricks. But now Xia Ping killed Zhou Hao and a few Zhou family disciples. This immediately made him a mortal enemy of the Zhou family. This was practically a fight to the death. With this, who would dare to say that he wanted to curry favor with the Zhou family? If he really wanted to curry favor with the Zhou family, then he should be respectful and flattering the Zhou family disciples. How would he dare to touch a hair of the Zhou family disciples? Now that Xia Ping killed the Zhou family disciples, he was openly telling them that the Zhou family was nothing more than this. He could kill the so-called Zhou family disciples if he wanted to. There was no need to curry favor with them. In this world, there was probably no stronger evidence than this. In order to prove that you didn't curry favor with the Zhou family, you killed a few of my Zhou family's descendants. You're too arrogant. The Zhou family's elder Zhou Bin widened his eyes. His heart was like a volcano. He had never felt such anger in his life. He was a dignified grandmaster and an elder of the Zhou clan, but a junior had actually dared to kill a Zhou clan disciple right in front of him. This was simply lawless. And he said that this was proof that he didn't intend to curry favor with the Zhou family. Just for a little bit of evidence, this kid killed a few of the Zhou family's descendants with great potential. Zhou Bin could not imagine how terrifying the great ancestor's rage would be if he found out about this. Right now he wanted nothing more than to skin Xia Ping alive. Elder, kill him. One of the Zhou family's elites roared. He was furious. He's unforgivable. Death penalty. Execute him immediately. No one can kill a Zhou family disciple and live. I'm going to tear him to pieces. He was extremely angry. When did the Zhou family, a king, fall to such an extent? They were rubbed in the nose and glared at by a junior, and a few of the Zhou family's descendants were killed on the spot. If this matter were to spread, the Zhou family would be completely disgraced and become a laughing stock for 1,000 years. Little bastard, I'll kill you. The Zhou family's elder Zhou Bin roared. His face was flushed red, and a terrifying grandmaster aura erupted from his body. His clothes fluttered even though there was no wind, and his aura was like a mountain. Chapter 517. This brat is dead meat. Some of the Zhou clan elites were sneering. They looked at Xia Ping as if they were looking at a dead person. A mere martial master junior actually dared to offend a grandmaster so brazenly. He simply did not know how to write the word, death. It would only take a second for the grandmaster to turn this brat into minced meat. The difference between a grandmaster and a martial master was too great. Even if one had a bejeweled weapon, it would not be able to bridge the gap between the two. Kill me? You're not qualified to do so. Xia Ping's expression was calm. He was not affected by Zhou Bin's aura at all. He stood there calmly. Boom! At that moment the air in the sky twisted and a huge spaceship appeared. This was Xia Ping's private spaceship, the Radiant God. It had used the system to hide in midair. Even a grandmaster would not be able to detect its presence when he used his mind energy. Now, under Xiaoping's command, it had appeared. Whoosh! At that moment, the radiant god exploded with a shocking energy cannon. It condensed into a solid form and exploded with terrifying destructive power. The power of this cannon was enough to destroy a small mountain. Furthermore, this energy cannon was extremely fast. Could even reach 8 times the speed of sound. Damn it, why does this brat have a private spaceship? And it's even equipped with the military's energy cannon. How is this possible? The moment the radiant god appeared in the sky, before the energy cannon was activated, Zhou Bin's sixth sense as a grandmaster immediately surged. A strong sense of danger spread through his entire body. Grandmaster Zhou Bin's eyes were wide open. He felt that if he continued to attack Xiaoping, he would be killed by the energy cannon before he could kill Xiaoping. Not even his ashes would be left. Dodge! At that moment, Zhou Bin's speed had reached the limit of his life. The earth energy in his body was boiling. The friction with the air was so strong that it was on fire. He leaped to the side in an instant, traversing a distance of several hundred meters. Boom! A beam of light descended from the sky. It was like the finger of Buddha. In an instant, it flattened the entire ground. A huge cylindrical pit with a diameter of more than 100 meters was created. The surrounding soil had been burnt to a crisp by the high temperature of the light pillar, turning pitch black. Countless cracks had appeared on the ground, extending for hundreds of meters. Seeing this situation, Zhou Bin was so scared that his face turned green. His whole body was trembling. If he had been one step slower, he would have been blasted into pieces by this energy beam. Holy shit, what's going on? Didn't they say that this kid is a commoner with no power or influence? What's with this private spaceship? Look at its shell, look at its materials, look at its engine, look at its weapons and equipment. It's worth at least 100 billion federal coins, not even a dime less. You must be joking. Even a grandmaster wouldn't be able to afford such equipment. It's too exaggerated. Where did this kid come from? How could he afford such a private spaceship? That's against the rules. Many of the Zhou Consortium elites were also scared to death. They were instantly stunned by the appearance of the radiant god. Such a spaceship could be said to be the crystallization of humanity's most advanced intelligence. It was a powerful weapon that could change the direction of a war. In terms of individual strength, humans were far inferior to the demons, but it was precisely because of these high-tech weapons that one could fight against 100 demons. This was why humans were able to beat the demons into a retreat and occupy large swathes of land. This was the power of science and technology. The problem was that high technology required money, and those without money could only play by themselves. Such a divine weapon of war was not something that could be bought with money. One had to be extremely rich to be able to buy it. Even if a sovereign family wanted to buy such a spaceship, they would have to consider it carefully. Even if they managed to buy it, they would not use it unless it was a critical moment. Only the core bigwigs of the family could use it. Zhou Consortium elites like them were too far away from the position of the Zhou Consortium's core bigwigs. They had no right to come into contact with such a spaceship and could only watch helplessly. But now this kid had taken out such a super private spaceship. It immediately scared them silly. This commoner was actually richer than them? Was this really realistic? Kill him. Xiaoping showed no mercy. He immediately ordered the private spaceship, the Radiant God. The AI received the order and immediately activated the entire spaceship's weapon system. A powerful scanning ability covered a radius of 500 kilometers, completely locking onto the target. Swish, swish, swish. In just an instant, more than a dozen cannons on the spaceship opened. Each of the cannons was brewing with terrifying energy, and they all blasted toward Zhou Bin. Immediately, columns of energy shot out crazily, forming a web of death. Damn it! Zhou Bin roared. His hair stood on end. Being targeted by a spaceship was no different from being targeted by the Grim Reaper. It was as if he would be killed in the next second and die a graveless death. He frantically circulated the Gang Qi in his body. His spiritual power was highly concentrated, almost entering the extreme realm of martial arts. In just a few seconds he fled toward a huge mountain range in the distance. As long as he could hide in the complex terrain of the mountain range and rely on the trees and the endless mountains, he would definitely be able to survive. Columns of energy shot out, covering the sky and covering the earth. This was simply a saturated attack, covering an area. The radiant god even locked onto Zhou Bin's aura and chased after him. Dong dong dong! Immediately the entire ground trembled. Huge craters appeared, just like the surface of the moon. When the columns of energy landed on the ground, they immediately blasted out huge craters. Even the soil was instantly vaporized. Zhou Bin tried to hide in the depths of the mountains, using the huge rocks and the complex terrain to survive. But it was useless. The destructive power of such energy columns was simply too terrifying. Even a small mountain would be pierced in an instant, and the entire stone mountain would explode. Along the way, small mountains crumbled, rocks crumbled, trees were uprooted, and the surroundings were razed to the ground. It was as if a small-scale war had broken out. With the sixth sense of a grandmaster, Zhou Bin reached the realm of being able to foresee the arrival of the cicada before the autumn wind blows. He could predict the time and power of the energy pillars' attacks. He desperately dodged the energy pillars. However, the number of light pillars covering the sky was too terrifying. No matter how high his cultivation level was, a single mistake would be fatal. Just one mistake would be enough to kill him. With a boom, a column of light blasted Zhou Bin's body, instantly shattering the Gangqi defense on his body. Even a huge human-shaped crater appeared on the ground. The air vibrated hundreds of times, causing Zhou Bin to cough up blood. His internal organs were all severely injured. Chapter 518. Stop! He's a grandmaster of our Zhou family. You can't kill him. Damn it, do you know what you're doing? Killing a grandmaster is a serious crime. A serious crime, do you know that? Upon seeing this, numerous Zhou clan elites let out a loud roar as their eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. If Xiaping were to continue like this, it was likely that Zhou Bin would be killed alive in this place. To the Zhou family, this was an unbearable burden. Any grandmaster was the core combat power of a clan. To nurture one, who knew how many years and resources would be wasted? If he was killed here, even if the Zhou family was a king family, they would be heavily injured. Go to hell. Xiaping did not hesitate at all. These Zhou family members wanted to kill him. Why couldn't he fight back and kill them? Their Zhou family's people were lives, but his wasn't. Since he had the resolve to kill and steal, he had to bear the consequences of being killed. Trying to stop him with just a few words and make him give up on killing Zhou Bin? You must be dreaming. Even the King Zhou family could not stop him. Swoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, a beam of light descended from the sky and struck Zhou Bin's body with the speed of a sudden clap of thunder. No. Zhou Bin was terrified to the extreme. His face was pale. He did not expect to be reduced to such a state. He was a grandmaster, the strongest person below the king level. In the entire federal government, a grandmaster was equivalent to a general. They could command hundreds of thousands of troops and had great power. They also had many special privileges. But now he was facing a disaster. He was forced to this state by a junior. He would never have thought that something like this would happen. However, it was too late for him to dodge. Such an attack was extremely fast. Even a grandmaster's reaction speed could not keep up or block it. That was because the spaceship's attack system was modified to annihilate grandmaster monsters. If the attack power was weak, it would be impossible to do it. In the blink of an eye, with a boom, Zhou Bin's entire body was struck. The Gangqi on his body instantly shattered, and his chest was pierced by the tyrannical energy. His entire body suffered an extremely strong impact and he was pushed back 5 or 6 kilometers. He fiercely smashed into a huge mountain in the distance. His entire body was deeply embedded in the mountain wall. All the bones in his body were shattered, and his heart was crushed. He could not be more dead. Elder. The group of elites from the Zhou family stared at Zhou Bin, who had been killed by the energy cannon. At the moment they saw Zhou Bin die, they could not believe that a grandmaster had died in this place. He didn't die in a battle with a grandmaster monster, nor did he die from offending a king. Instead, he was killed by a junior controlling a spaceship. They thought of how complacent they were earlier, thinking that it would be easy for them to surround and kill a junior. Even if that fellow had wings, he would not be able to escape. But how could they have known that this was a trap? A trap that had lured them over and annihilated them all. Little bastard! A Zhou family elite roared. How dare you kill a grandmaster of our Zhou family? Don't think that there will be no consequences for doing such a thing. If our patriarch finds out, you will die even if you escape to the ends of the world. His face was flushed, and he was already mad with anger. This was a grandmaster, not some random cat or dog. He was equivalent to a super weapon of a king family. But now he had been killed by this brat. It was no less than losing hundreds of billions of federal coins. How dare you threaten me when you're at death's door? There's no need for tomorrow. I'll annihilate all of you today, Xia Ping said calmly to the group of Zhou family elites and immediately controlled the spaceship. Swish! 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 In an instant, the cannons of the spaceship in the sky slowly turned, aiming at the group of Zhou family elites on the ground. It only needed a second to recharge before it exploded. Bastard! He's trying to silence us. He's killing all of us so that he can destroy our corpses. What a vicious little bastard. We definitely can't let him succeed. We must report to the patriarch and annihilate this brat. Yes, we can't let the elder die in vain. How can a grandmaster of the Zhou family be so easily humiliated? A debt of blood must be paid with blood. One by one, the Zhou family elites roared, swearing to kill this little bastard Xia Ping. They would not rest until he was dead. But while their thoughts were beautiful, reality was cruel. Under the bombardment of the spaceship's energy cannons, they interweaved into a huge net of death. It was as if thousands of missiles had smashed down, causing an earth-shattering explosion. Rumble. In just an instant, there was a huge energy explosion within a radius of 1 kilometer. Immediately, these Zhou family elites had no way to escape and were immediately affected by the energy. The protective techniques on their bodies were immediately shattered, and their entire bodies were shattered into pieces, turning into broken limbs and bones. Large amounts of blood flowed on the ground. They didn't even have the chance to send a message before they were blasted to death. What a powerful war weapon! Xia Ping was also secretly amazed. At the same time, he was also very satisfied. As expected of the spaceship that he had spent 150 billion federal coins to modify, such an attack system lived up to its reputation. He reckoned that if he drove this spaceship out, as long as he didn't encounter a demon king, he would be invincible. There's someone still alive. All of a sudden, Xia Ping's mental strength sensed a faint fluctuation in the void. Under the shroud of dust, a figure was trying to use the terrain to quickly escape into the distance. And this person was the other grandmaster of the Zhou family. Under the baptism of the energy cannons just now, he had relied on his tyrannical protective aura technique and exquisite footwork to barely avoid the fatal blow and was temporarily not dead. But even so, he was seriously injured by the energy cannons and lost 99% of his strength. Now he was like a stray dog, quickly fleeing into the distance, hoping to survive. Kill! Xia Ping gripped the hell spear in his hand tightly and took a step forward. The qigong on his body was boiling, as if even the air was being burned by a terrifying flame. An illusion of a golden crow of hell appeared behind him. Swoosh! Like a primordial god, all the muscles on his body swelled up. Inch by inch, strength was transmitted from the soles of his feet, and finally along his joints, bit by bit, until it reached his fingers. At this moment the air exploded. The hell spear was immediately thrown out, tearing through the air and turning into a black energy spear. With lightning speed, it instantly bombarded the grandmaster of the Zhou family. With a bang like the morning bell and evening drum, the hell spear instantly pierced through the body of the grandmaster of the Zhou family. The powerful force of inertia sent his body flying for a full kilometer before he was finally nailed to the huge mountain wall in front of him. Blood dripped down from the wound. His eyes were wide open, and he died with a grievance. Chapter 519. Walala, Xia Ping made his move and burned the corpses of the Zhou family's elites to death one by one, turning them into ashes and destroying all traces of their corpses. It was estimated that even if a brilliant detective came here, he would not know how they died. Moreover, this was the savage forest. There were no people at all. Demonic beasts ran rampant and there were no witnesses. No matter how powerful the Zhou family was, they would not be able to track him. At this time, the system prompted, "Congratulations to the host. This time you have obtained a total of 5 million hatred points." 5 million hatred points. Xiaping was very satisfied. In addition to what he had obtained before, he now had a total of 20 million hatred points. This kind of hatred points was enough for him to buy a lot of precious manuals and pills. However, he still needed to think about how to use it. These elites of the Zhou clan are indeed overflowing with wealth, as expected of members of a king clan. After dealing with the environment, Xiaping also obtained a lot of treasures from these Zhou family elites. Some rare elixirs and some cultivation pills. It was estimated that the value of these resources alone was no less than 20,000 energy stones. And these things were probably the harvest they had obtained in the savage forest, but now they all belonged to him. However, they did not carry many energy stones with them. After all, without a space ring, it was not very convenient to carry energy stones. It was considered a burden. Most people would not carry much out. Invisible bead, is this the treasure invisible bead? Soon Xiaping found a transparent bead on Zhou Hao's body. It seemed to contain a unique energy, as if there was a mysterious fog in it. It was this bead that concealed the aura of Zhou Hao and the others. If it wasn't for the system monitoring him, he probably wouldn't have been able to discover the existence of Zhou Hao and the others. One could imagine how amazing this bead was. If it was auctioned, its value would be enough to make countless warriors go crazy. Even the King Realm warriors would come out to fight for it. If the Zhou family knew that their family's treasure had been lost just like that, they would probably all go crazy. This was worse than the death of a grandmaster. After all, such a treasure would never be found again. However, as long as a grandmaster spent a certain amount of time and resources, they could still be cultivated. I wonder what effect this treasure has? Xiaping's heart stirred, and he immediately instilled his Jinqi into the bead. Immediately, the mysterious energy contained in the bead surged out, and the surrounding light and magnetic field all distorted. He felt as if his body was wrapped in a strange energy. This energy isolated the surrounding aura and formed an independent space, making him feel as if he was in a different dimension. This kind of concealment effect was many times better than the invisible pill he had taken in the past. Speed up! Xiaping's figure flashed as he executed the Kuan-Peng steps, sprinting forward. However, no matter how fast he moved, the effects of the invisibility pearl didn't seem to disappear. A mass of energy still wrapped around his body. Furthermore, it was soundless and did not cause any vibrations in the surrounding air. Powerful, truly powerful. No wonder I could not sense Zhou Hao and the others earlier. This prized artifact's effect is truly wondrous. Xiaping praised. He knew that he had gained a great advantage this time. With this invisibility bead, he could probably enter and exit all kinds of dangerous places to search for treasures. He wouldn't have to worry about being discovered by some tyrannical monster. It would be many times safer. I'll go to Cold Moon Lake now, go deep into the lake, and harvest large amounts of water moon grass. Xiaping immediately made a decision. With a treasure like the invisibility bead, he would be able to go deep into Cold Moon Lake. He parked the luminous god and then set off for Cold Moon Lake. A few hours later, Xiaping once again arrived at Cold Moon Lake. However, at this time, many snake demons appeared around Cold Moon Lake. They were clad in armor and held long spears in their hands. They were filled with killing intent, and their expressions were solemn as if they were facing a great enemy. The number of snake demon guards patrolling the surroundings was several times more than the previous night, perhaps even more than 10 times. What's going on? Why are there suddenly so many snake demon guards? Could something big have happened in Cold Moon Lake? Xiaping's heart jumped. He activated the invisibility bead and turned his body invisible. Soon, he approached the group of snake demon guards without being discovered by any of them. In fact, they didn't even know that someone was standing beside them. He saw a snake demon captain lecturing a group of snake demon guards. Remember, You must increase the patrolling of the surrounding area. Do not let go of any clues. Last night, a group of guards disappeared here. Even the water moon grass was picked clean. They were robbed even more cleanly than their faces. I reckon that group of guards also met with misfortune. Without a doubt, a despicable human must have approached our cold moon lake and tried to steal the water moon grass. That's why our commander is furious. He must capture that despicable human and avenge his dead brothers. It roared. But Captain, a snake demon guard asked, even if a human approached Cold Moon Lake last night, the problem is that he has already picked all the cold moon grass. Is it possible that he has already left? It raised its own question. That's right. If the murderer has already left, then what we are doing is useless. Patrolling here is also a waste of time and energy. Many snake demons nodded. They were worried about this. That's indeed possible. The snake demon captain also admitted this point. But the commander suspects that the human murderer killed 16 martial master level guards in an instant. This kind of strength is not to be underestimated. It's very likely that he is a grandmaster. If such a person needs the water moon grass, just the bit by the lake is definitely not enough. Therefore, the commander guessed that the human might come again. He might even go deep into Cold Moon Lake. Therefore, you must not relax for now. Increase the patrolling and guard against external enemies. It stated the reason for the tight security. Yes, Captain. The group of snake demons shouted. They all increased the patrolling nearby. Their eyes were vigilant and they could sense the heat within several kilometers. Even the wind and grass couldn't hide from them. However, this ability was obviously useless against Xiaoping, who had the invisibility pearl. He was standing next to the snake demons now, but they didn't notice him. I didn't expect these snake demons to be so powerful. Their intelligence is amazing. They can actually guess that I will come again from the clues. Xiaoping was also secretly amazed by the snake demons' intelligence. Their intelligence was definitely not inferior to that of humans. Unfortunately, he had the invisibility pearl. No matter how these snake demons imagined, they couldn't imagine that such a treasure existed in the world. Therefore, no matter how vigilant they were, they couldn't find any traces of Xiaoping. Let's go in and take a look. Chapter 520. Whoosh! Xiaoping immediately jumped into the cold moon pool. Immediately, he felt a threatening chill that wanted to penetrate into his internal organs. The pool water contained a powerful cold baleful qi. However, he operated the qigong in his body. Flames flowed and burned the cold aura completely expelling it. He even formed an energy shield on the surface of his body, preventing the cold aura from getting close. At the same time, the invisible pearl seemed to vibrate and condensed into a sphere, surrounding Xiaoping's body and isolating him from the surrounding water. This transparent energy shield even merged with the surrounding water, and could absorb the aura in the gaps of the water, filling the energy shield with air. It was like living on land. No way, this invisible pearl actually has the function of avoiding water? Xiaoping was extremely surprised. This was really beyond his expectations. He originally thought that the invisible pearl could only hide his aura. However, he did not expect that after entering the cold moon pool, it would immediately activate its second ability, which was to avoid water. With this pearl, he could simply walk around the cold moon pool without worrying about the lack of oxygen. Now he was almost like an ordinary fish. Walala! Xiaoping went deep into the cold moon pool and walked in the water. He immediately saw the strange underwater world. In this deep pool, not only were there snake demons, but there were also many powerful fish. There was a black fish with a huge body, a full 10 meters long. It was swallowing water elemental aura in big mouthfuls and fighting with a snake demon. It immediately condensed the aura into a sword and instantly blasted the snake demon into 3 parts. In the distance, there was also a purple snake demon that was dozens of meters long. It was huge and opened its mouth wide, swallowing hundreds of black fish in front of it in one gulp as if it was eating snacks. Even though this was the country of monsters, monsters did not get along well with each other. Sometimes, in order to compete for resources, they might even fight more fiercely than humans. What surprised Xiaoping the most was that there was a python that was hundreds of meters long under the water. It was lying on the ground like a small mountain full of pressure. It was at least a grandmaster. This was a demon general. Around its body there were many boulders. These boulders were piled up together, forming a natural qi gathering formation that could absorb the vast qi of heaven and earth around it. In fact, it had even deliberately arranged these boulders to form walls and houses. Upon closer inspection, it looked like a small town, with many small pythons living in it. These little pythons were probably either its descendants or its subordinates. This was already a simplified version of a monster kingdom. In terms of scale, it was equivalent to a small human town. Moreover, this was not a special case. Along the way, there were many small towns at the bottom of the lake with monsters. Each small town was guarded by a Grandmaster realm monster. Demons are indeed intelligent. I can't underestimate them. Xiaoping's eyes flashed. The deeper he ventured into the demon kingdom, the more he understood that these demons were not a simple race. It was no wonder that even with the overwhelming technological prowess of humans, they still suffered heavy losses in the war against the demon clan and had no choice but to sign a peace treaty. Along the way, Xiaoping saw many incredible things. On the fertile land at the bottom of the lake, there were many spiritual herbs planted, such as water lingji, water ginseng, water deer antler, snow lotus, and so on. They were densely packed, and the underwater medicinal field stretched for thousands of miles. These spiritual herbs were probably used by the demons to refine various elixirs to enhance their own cultivation. There were many alchemy masters and grandmasters among the demon clan. In addition to the spiritual herbs, there was also a vast land planted with spiritual rice. These spiritual rice were the same as human rice and were regarded as the staple food of these demons. They contained pure energy and could be eaten to maintain the daily consumption of qi and blood, which was extremely important. Without this rice field, it was estimated that millions of demons would starve to death. Although Xiaoping had long known that the demons in the cloud realm were not simple, when he entered this place, he truly realized that they were a race no less intelligent than humans. It was just that the direction of evolution and technology of both sides were different. I wonder where the Silver Wrm King lives? If I can find the nest of the 72 caves and plunder it, I'll definitely make a fortune. Xiaoping's thoughts flashed as he came up with various plans. With the ability of the invisibility pearl, he was even more daring. He wanted to stir up trouble in the Silver Wrm King's nest in the Cold Moon Lake. If he was lucky, he would definitely reap great rewards. Right, since it's the nest of the Silver Wrm King, then it must be in the area with the densest spiritual energy in the Cold Moon Lake. It must be the best spot. Thinking to there, Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He sent out his mental energy and immediately sensed a boundless wave of spirit qi 10 kilometers away. It was like a vortex, incredibly shocking. That was the center of the entire Cold Moon Lake's spiritual energy. Whoosh! Xiaoping sped forward. After an hour, he ignored the surrounding water demons and swam for more than 10 miles, finally reaching the deepest part of the Cold Moon Lake. This is the nest of the Silver Wrm King? It's magnificent. Xiaoping looked into the distance and felt very shocked. There were actually huge palaces built under the water. It was just like the capital of ancient Earth. There were buildings one after another. There were buildings one after another, and the surrounding walls were over 100 meters tall. They could withstand any enemy's attack. At this moment, the entire underwater city was surrounded by a restrictive array formation. An eggshell-like energy barrier enveloped the entire city, isolating the water from the outside world. And the city walls of the underwater city also had a huge city gate. There were many demon guards nearby. They held spears in their hands and wore armor. They had a murderous aura as they guarded the surroundings vigilantly. Some demons also came in and out of the city. Some were going home, some were doing business, some were visiting friends, and some were traveling. There were many such situations. Such an underwater building was simply a dragon palace. The Silver Wrm King definitely lives in this city. There's no doubt about it. Xiaoping clenched his fists. He could feel an extremely strong pressure from the city. It was as if a demon king was guarding this place. Any beast that dared to enter would definitely be annihilated. Fortunately, he had a treasure like the invisibility pearl. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to enter. This place was simply a tiger's den. Once he was discovered by these demons, he would be the enemy of everyone. Let's go in. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.